Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dicing with Death and its long-awaited return. How are you doing today, Ryan?
Hello, I am doing well. Coming at you from this fine supercomputer generating a deepfake Ryan
Mm-hmm.
while real Ryan is off raising his child and
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
The AI is
whatever it is
really
Ryans do.
convincing. It does the whole
Yeah.
rambling, stumbling thing that Ryan does. It's got the
Oh,
beard just right.
and we're coming out the gates
A little bit hot.
just a little bit hot.
Yeah.
So, do we got any witty banter, or are we just gonna start rolling some characters?
Well, we only have the one session for the foreseeable future, so let's hop into character generation. We are going to be doing a single standalone adventure that is tentatively called First Dwarf? The Dwarf. The
The
Dwarf.
dwarf.
Yes. And it will take place in the very early days of the world. Back before people properly kept time and gods walked the land and yada yada. Way in the early days. We're going to be looking at some dwarves. We're doing it in 5th edition. And the question before us is, what class and level should our dwarf be? I think the class should be
But
no higher than 3rd, but yeah, so 1st or 3rd, if you depending on if you want to be like brand spanking new dwarf or you've been around for a little bit dwarf.
I guess let's build it up as we go. So let's start at level 1, and if it sucks after 15 minutes, we can just spend 2 minutes leveling to level 3 and call it good, or something like that.
Perfect.
Um,
Edition typically uses
my audio is apparently echoey. I am a robot. I told you I am a deep fake, and
but you sound
anyways,
fine to me. How could it possibly be
I
echoey?
because we're running audio through Discord and video through Zoom and the list goes on.
I see what's happening.
And you're piping all of that to
okay, well, I've temporarily fixed the problem. Oh, I see what's happening. I'm a dum-dum.
were there two Ryans?
There were 2 Ryans. It's because no one cares about the technical reasons, but there are multiple audio streams, and I had set 2 of them to be the same thing. When one of them's called Krob, one of them's called Comms, and stupid blind dyslexic Neal put them both as Comms, and so double.
Don't worry, we'll build you some robot eyes soon.
Yeah,
soon.
Yeah, it's fine. Sorry, people. My fault. It's always my fault. So first level character, I have assigned you a character sheet.
How are we rolling stats, and does it have to be a fighter? Is that what we decided?
No, it doesn't have to be a fighter. But it should probably not be a spellcaster. So fighter, barbarian, thief. Those are the only non-spellcasters?
I think so.
Yeah. We could.
And
I think do a cleric if
there's
you wanted
monk, and there's
yeah.
And then there's multi-classing as a warlock, sorcerer, paladin.
Unfortunately, in 5th edition, you can only multi-class at higher levels. You can't start off as 2 classes.
Okay, then I guess we're going straight to level 3. And then there's ranger, but I probably just
Dwarven Ranger, the least likely class in existence.
We probably just do a fighter. Please no 5e. I know, right? Have we ever done 5e Dicing with Death?
Never. First.
Is this a good idea? All right.
It's an idea.
Cool.
Good as a subjective concept here.
So, stats. How do you roll stats?
5e has a stat array, but we don't have to do that. You can roll 46 d1. the early
This is-
days, and it's a 1-session campaign.
Stat arrays. Cringe, am I right?
Yeah.
You've never run 5e with a different stat generator?
I have, I believe. Oof, it's been so long since I've run 5e campaigns, I actually can't entirely remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a
I
stat
think
array generator.
okay. Cool. You want me to roll in roll 20 or
Yes,
in the physical
please.
world? All right.
See the dice.
I can see these dice.
Yeah, but does anyone trust you?
They're real. They're metal and they cling together. All right. Cool. So there's no like stat array button. I just roll 40-61 straight down the line, and probably rearrange.
Yes. Yes, I would rearrange.
I think 5e doesn't work if you do a harsher rolling method, right? Like if you're doing 3d6s or something. I guess not
Yeah,
harsher.
5e6 is
wider.
very stat dependent. You know, you kind of need a 15 in your primary stat, and otherwise you don't have any like combat capabilities whatsoever.
I mean, it just puts you a few levels behind, right?
Well, you get a +1 to hit every 5 levels. So
Okay,
if
so
you have a
puts
10
you
instead of
like
a 15,
5 to 10 levels behind.
Yeah.
Who balanced the shit? All right.
Well, it's balanced so that.
All right. Ask and you shall receive. There's a 15.
Diggity damn.
Popping out the dwarf.
The
Maybe
rest
I
of them
can
have
just
to be
keep these straight in
3d6s.
line.
Fine.
What?
I'm kidding.
All right. 15. 6. Maybe we'll just do these straight down the line. We'll see how that goes. 9. Oh, a 6 is a -2. They really.
Yeah.
This ain't no 2e with a 9 is -1?
Yep.
What is this game?
Yep.
Another 15. And a 10. All right, I don't think there's any reason to have 15 wisdom.
I mean, unless you want high proficiency bonuses and good saving throws.
Yeah, I guess. All right, well, we'll think about it.
Have the music. Here.
Okay, so class. They've even got all these extra classes.
Oh, do they have all the new fancy classes in there?
Yeah. It seems like they should let you type your own. Why do I have to choose from their list? Like, I'd be fine if it were like. Anyways, all right. I'm not gonna rant.
Old men complaining about new systems. Welcome.
I'm more no. I'm like, wow. How come? I'm all right. I'm not gonna call anything out. Like, I'd be fine if it were the player's handbook drop-down menu or something, or I should be able to type in something random, but they shouldn't put these. Anyways, all right. Race dwarf.
Yes.
DORF. Just kidding. I can spell. Are we doing mountain, hill?
You can pick whichever one you want because this is before the various races of dwarves have split into their types.
I think they're rebranding those as species finally.
Well,
I guess we're in 5th edition and not D&D.
Right, dwarf
final,
is a
the last chapter.
Yeah. Dwarf is a new
subspecies.
So are these subspecies, or I don't know the newest lingo.
I mean, in the book, they're still sub races is still the.
Yeah.
There's a little lore blurb about Duragar. All right. Constitution increases by 2. Am I gonna regret leaving my stats as they are? Like, if I don't put my 15 into Constitution, am I gonna be a shitty dwarf and none of the other dwarfs will like me?
No. No. You have a family. They love you for who you are.
Is there anything cool about high wisdom? There's not like proficiencies. There's skills.
Right. Your skills are your new proficiencies.
That gives me perception, which I guess is... But it's not going to make me like a master dwarven
correct
craftsman or something. Insight. Yeah, I do get con bonus from being dwarven, but what do you think, Neal? Should I leave my stats in the order they are or start min-maxing?
I mean, if you wanted to play a fighter, I wouldn't leave your dex at 6.
Yeah.
That is
doesn't heavy
AC.
armor negate that? Oh, but we're in I don't get armor. I'm in a loincloth.
I think you'll be at the armor point where maybe your maximum AC bonus is 2, which means -2 for you.
So min-maxing, I would put the 15 into dex, right?
Or the 10 into dex, just so it's not a penalty.
Yeah. Then I want... Okay, if I'm going to start rearranging, it's happening. All right. 6 charisma because dwarf. Oh, but I didn't mean to roll that. But I didn't know these were buttons. How about it? Then I should really put that 15 into constitution. Or charisma? Am I like a... Do I need to be the leader of these dwarves, or am I just digging a hole?
You get to decide your own fate. If you want to be the charismatic leader, you can be the charismatic leader. If you just want to be, hole digger number 5, be hole digger number 5. Or if you want to be the merchant of the family, or you could even be the child rearer of the family. Like, you can... I'm happy to pick you for you to pick your role in society. I'll end up having to do terrible things anyway.
Well, my name has to be Einard because I'm the first dwarf, right? I'm the dwarf.
The dwarf.
So I'm definitely destined for greatness. But greatness has to start somewhere, and apparently it's in a loincloth in a hole somewhere. But that might mean I should... might mean I should put the high stat into charisma, or...
What is the creature type field for?
Creature type? Oh, whoa.
Race is dwarf, subrace, creature type? Is that like beast, monster, humanoid?
I think so, but it's weird that they let you type in any kind of creature, but you have to choose your stat from a drop-down menu, or your class from a drop-down menu.
Yeah.
All right. Bouncing around as is typical. Look at hill versus mountains. Oh, mountains get the strength. And hill dwarves get +1 HP.
+1 HP?
Yeah, per level.
So +2 to con, but not for anything other than HP, essentially. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting way of going about it.
Probably mountain dwarf for the strength. Then you get armor, which I guess mountain dwarves make good like casters, but because you get the armor proficiencies. So if you have a class that doesn't give you armor, you can be like a mage with medium armor.
Oh. I don't really know much about 5e dwarves.
Creature type humanoid in quotes.
Humanoid's a little derogatory, don't you think? You're not quite a human, but you're sort of a human, so I put it in quotes to, chastise the system.
What kind of campaign is this? Like, am I going to be fighting things? Like, do I need combat stats? Fighter's got to fight. Do I want that 17 strength?
You are going to be running into some of the problems of dwarves, and it is going to be up to you to decide how you want to deal with them. So if you want to be super combat-y and fight your problems toe-to-toe, then by all means build for combat. But we only have 3-hour session essentially once the character's made. So I think that they'll probably be, most of it will be role play, maybe 1 or 2 small combats.
Tempting to just go 17-17 and be super dwarf.
No, why not?
Right, that's about as dwarfy as you can get.
And I do believe, if my notes are right, we're going to reduce dwarf speed from 25 down to 20.
Whoa.
Yes.
And are you getting rid of that? So there's that... Dwarf speed is not reduced by heavy armor. Is how they do, Yeah, anyways.
Right, because heavy armor in 5e specifically gives you a speed penalty rather than
an
encumbrance penalty. I think that's how heavy armor works.
That might be an optional thing. Or if
it's
a simplified encumbrance. I think you still have the encumbrance penalties, but you don't get the encumbrance penalty speed. Armor. What's that armor table? It's the first thing in the... No, heavy armor just gives you stealth disadvantage. Huh. Anyways, we're probably nixing that and just doing regular encumbrance with dwarf scaled armor.
Yeah.
Probably put my intelligence at 6 and my charisma at 9. And 9 charisma for a dwarf is pretty impressive, isn't it?
I mean, you get in 2nd edition, you get penalty of 1 to charisma, so yeah, it's about not too bad.
All right, shall I roll for hit points? I suppose.
First level of 5e, you take max HP.
Oh, true.
Yes.
So I would have 13 HP.
14 if you're the right type of dwarf.
I've got 17 strength.
Oh yeah, that's
instead
way better.
of yeah.
Cool.
Okay, and now I need to spend the next half hour deciding on my traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws, right? That's
yes, that's the core of what we're doing here.
Cool. I think I have a character, actually. That's how this works, right?
Uh-huh.
There's probably a few fighter things to take a glance at. Oh, I need a background, or at least I need to pick some skills, right? That's how
you get 2 skills. You get a couple skills for being your class and a couple skills for your background. I don't think dwarves come with any skills. But you do have advantage on saving throws against poison and resistance to poison damage. And you have a tool proficiency.
Should put fighter as the screw alphabetical order.
Fighter should be the first one, yes. And humans should be the first species. I agree. Human fighters should be the default of all people and classes across the world.
Yeah, we're very avant-garde over here, going with a dwarf. So creative. All right, practicing my alphabet.
You should be pretty good at that these days.
It is a favorite around this house.
Acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight. It's a page 72 if you're looking for it.
No, but fighters get. Oh, it already checked them, and I get to choose from.
Cool. You get to choose your skills. Yeah, page 72.
And am I starting with any of this equipment, or grab athletics?
Yeah, why not? You don't have to have it on. You don't have to be wearing it, but yeah, it'll be in your house somewhere.
Play athletics and intimidation. Insight, perception, survival are all
right.
Skills are good, but that's fine.
You get 2 more skills from your background.
Yeah.
You don't have to pick a specific background. You can just pick 2 skills.
I'll take a glance at the backgrounds in a second, but might as well finish up. Well, okay, that's the backgrounds. They're before classes, right? I just jumped forward to strategize. No, they're after classes, aren't they?
I couldn't tell you.
Great spawns, blardy, blardy, blar. Okay. We've got Acolyte, Charlatan, Criminal, Entertainer, Artisan. I will either do Artisan or Noble, depending on what you think.
I would go with Artisan over Noble.
Soldier, none of these things are things. Like there's not enough of a society to have soldiers and nobles and.
No, such things do exist. Artisan. But if your family runs the mines or works in mines, you're not a noble.
Okay.
You are working class, my friend.
Are there nobles?
Yes. It was born with a classed society.
All right, then I think this will probably be how Einhard ascends into, or maybe not. Maybe this is one of the failed Einhards, but it's at some point an Einhard becomes a king of kings.
Mm-hmm. One day.
One day.
Not right off the bat.
Or king of mountain kings. All right, so I get insight and persuasion. Get a language, which I'm not even sure where to record or if we care. And then artisan tools, a letter of introduction, a set of traveler's clothes. Oh, I got a tool proficiency. That's what but I don't. There's not even anywhere to record. There is.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Tool. I guess that's got to be a pick. Is that what we're doing?
There's a specific set of tool proficiencies that dwarves get.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they list a couple in the dwarf section.
The dwarf section? Did dwarves get a tool proficiency?
Yeah.
So then I got like 2 tool proficiencies?
Ooh.
No, not the fighter, but the guild artist does.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the dwarf proficiency, but I don't know what your guild artisan... Whatever you want, whatever sort of dwarf you want to be.
Dwarf gets smith tools, brewer's tools, or mason's tools. If I don't know if that is an exhausted, so I'll probably take both smith and mason. And efficient, strength. Cool. Other proficiencies and languages. I think dwarves probably come with dwarven.
They should come with dwarven and common. Or you should have common.
Yeah, and then I think I get to pick one more from being a fighter. Is that
language?
It was somewhere.
Sure. Getting us our map.
Let's see. Where does equipment go? Item name? Is this where it's supposed to go? There's just this tiny little section for equipment. Alright, sure.
Yeah, and it expands infinitely.
Is there a way to auto generate or auto fill this based on selection?
Yeah, if you go into the circle with the eye, you can type for equipment and just drag and drop to your character sheet. And then it'll fill out names and weights and jazz. And if it's a weapon, it'll auto-populate into your weapon field. And if it's armor, it'll auto-populate into your armor field.
Circle with an eye, is that...
In the upper right-hand corner near where the settings option is. Like, not in the sheet, but in Roll20.
Oh, okay. Oh, the letter I. Got it.
Yeah.
But this little arrow, or do I have to drag and drop?
Drag and drop.
Okay. Got it. Cool.
Mention of this map.
Oh. Oh, query attribute. Cool. You can set up proficiencies to not be tied to an attribute.
Yes.
It's an interesting approach. Okay.
I mean, if you want to really dig into Roll20, there are a lot of, like, you don't like your class, you can go into the attribute section and change it manually, so it doesn't have to be fighter. Like, you can pick something from the drop down and then just go into the attribute area and be like, I'm not a fighter, I'm a song mage.
Okay.
There are ways to do such things. A little bit roundabout. You'd have to know how to program just a wee bit to make it work.
I can copy paste like no other. Travelers.
Stack Overflow? Yes, I can program.
Is wealth recorded separately? Yeah, 15 GP. I feel like I should just be able to be... I mean, there's probably some kind of character builder tool that's like, I'm a dwarven fighter, guild artisan, this is the equipment you get.
Yes, there is, but we skipped that step early on. That's the decision you make when you first open the character sheet and says, do you want to use the Charactermancer that does everything for you, or do you want to type it in by hand like an old man? And I selected for you.
It didn't
by
even give me
hand.
that option. It must have known.
It could just read the demeanor on your face, the wrinkled lines, the fatigued eyes. Please, no more Goodnight Moon. I can't do it anymore.
Okay, let's see.
Story you read? Is that a
no, but there's
still?
a song called Moon, Moon, Moon that I have to sing on repeat. Alright, I don't need to fuss with... Everyone knows a fighter's proficient in everything. Saving
Yeah.
throw, it already checked for me. Strength and con. I see I got another language. Oh well, it's fine.
But yeah, I don't think languages are going to be a major factor for our full session.
No. All right, and then I want chain mail. Do we have? There is metalworking.
Yes.
There is.
Yes, I think chainmail is the height of technology.
And I get it just because I'm a fighting man.
Yes.
Fighting dwarf.
And
Martial
dwarf.
weapon and shield, or 2 martial weapons. Couple of hand axes. What do these packs do? Dungeoneers versus... I guess I should probably grab Dungeoneers pack.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Have you decided what your role in society is? What your role in your family is? Are you the prime digger, or are you the merchant, or the family man, or what is your function within your...
I have 17 strength and 17 con, so I'm probably the clan's best digger, right?
Perfect.
But destined for more than just digging.
Then you definitely need the Dungeoneers pack.
Versus and but dungeon, it doesn't even weigh these things out. It just...
No, when you do the
whatever.
packs, it just drops the whole pack, and then you have to manually drag and drop each one, but it's not worth the effort.
Mm-hmm.
Map is not exactly what I thought it was going to be. I thought this area over here was a raised mountain, not a dropped off cliff. It'll be fine though.
All right, and then I get a fighting style.
Mm-hmm.
Second wind. And I need to pick my weapons. I can't drag and drop class features.
I don't know.
Seems like second wind should go somewhere, but I can remember that, I guess.
Yeah.
And then fighting style and
Drop an Einhard? Almost. So there is some weird update. Roll20. So the default token settings don't default token the way I want them to.
see, so dueling, when you are wielding a weapon in one hand and no other weapons, you gain +2 damage. You can do that with a weapon and a shield, though, right?
Yes.
So I'll probably axe and shield it. And it seems like dueling is the best option. Does anyone mechanically know dueling versus defense? I guess we don't really care, do we?
I think it depends on your... I don't think there's a straight best option. I think if you have like a really high AC to begin with, defense is better. But if you're in like the lower range, then maybe...
Yeah.
+1 to damage, it says?
It's 2 to damage.
2 to damage, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I'll grab dueling and do the
+2 damage.
axe and board thing.
Brings up your die size from like D8 to D12 essentially. That's a bad.
Yeah.
Because your weapon's
where to
D8, so it does 4.5 damage.
Yeah.
So +2 basically gives you 50% damage boost with your primary weapon.
Oh, Warhammer is similar to a battle axe,
Yeah, it's
but
solid.
bludgeoning instead. So they got Warhammer, battle axe, and longsword are all different damage types. I feel pretty dwarfy, Neal.
Do you?
Nothing feels special about this. I feel like a 5e dwarf.
Oh, hell, you are a 5e dwarf. You're
Got a battle axe
first
and a
level
shield.
5e dwarf. There's not much to them.
Are you kidding? I'm the finest digging machine that this game engine has ever generated.
With 17 strength, 17 con, you can dig to your heart's content. You end up with that 10 in dex? Yeah, so no penalties. 6 int, 9 wisdom, 9 charisma. They don't let him out of the dark very often. You know, he's the finest digging machine this clan has ever invented. Don't let him talk to people.
Like, if this is the beginning of time, where did I get all of these fine weapons? We
The
made them?
world was seeded with a certain level of technology
Okay,
and buildings
so I
and
just
knowledge.
spawn with chainmail and a battle axe ready to dwarf.
Yeah, and I'm
And
not
it's-
entirely certain if you spawned or if you were like the first generation of born people or maybe like the third generation. We're somewhere within the first couple hundred years of the world. I don't think. Well, you could be. You could be an original dwarf. Why not? Why not, Einhard? You are the dwarf. You did spawn into existence with a purpose in your heart. A purpose to dig. Find the precious metals within the earth. Extract them.
And make them into harder and harder helmets.
Mm-hmm.
So we can dig deeper and iron harder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We have changed dwarves ever so slightly so that they have 20 move speed instead of 25, which is just, you know, nicely in line with second edition as well, where dwarves have, I believe, 9 speed instead of 12.
I
So
think
it's
dwarves have 6.
2e dwarves have 6.
Yeah, dwarves and halflings have 6.
Well, 5th edition, you will have 20 instead of the human 30, so 2/3 instead of 1/2. That will be the core of what we're doing here. I think we might also reduce your creature size from medium to small, but that can be a change that happens later. That's a deeper mechanic I have to work out. That I won't worry about today. Dwarves are pretty heavy, like 30 pounds, 100 pounds.
Heavy?
They'll probably
I guess
stay
for
as a medium. Oh.
Yeah. Now, is there a way to add +2 to all my damage, or do I manually go into the weapons and... I can just manually go in.
Yeah, I think it needs to be manually done.
Can't duel with thrown weapons, right? I'm wielding a weapon in one hand. If I only throw one hand axe, do I get the +2 damage with it?
But by the time it impacts your enemy,
I guess it says melee
it's not
weapons.
in your hand.
Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
a hand axe
Okay.
is a melee weapon, you know.
Yeah.
But I think when it's left your hand, it is no longer the melee weapon. So
Yeah. Character creation is so easy in 5e, but there's so little soul. Like the process of agonizing over choosing proficiencies and stuff makes you really get into the mindset of what it is to dig.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I missed out on that.
Well, you know, if we want to take some more time, we can give you 2nd edition proficiencies, but I think for our quick standalone, it'll be fine. And if we come back to Einhard in the future and we want to make him more dwarfy, we can do full set proficiencies. Because I really do like the depth of the proficiency system, as frustrating as it is and as little as it comes into play. Be like sitting down and deciding who your character is via these proficiencies is a really useful tool.
Yeah, calling them proficiencies kind of sucks, but skills or something.
Mm-hmm.
Proficiency is just such a cumbersome word. And non-weapon proficiencies. What on earth? Too many letters. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to flesh out?
Let's see.
I'm gonna check my work and
I have been following along with you.
tell me how dwarfy of a dwarf I have here.
1 HP, you got the 1 hit dice, you're fully alive. You add +2 to your damages?
Just on the battle axe.
Oh yeah,
I guess I could.
No, that's fine. It's perfect. 2nd wind, dueling. Yeah, I think we are good. Why is there character minutes? Oh, there's a button to level up your dwarf if you want on the top of your sheet near your fighter level.
I feel like that will break everything, won't it? Oh,
Maybe.
is that character mantle level up? Is that just gonna?
What did you end up?
Compendium. Oh, chainmail and a shield.
Ah, that'll do it. Wait, but isn't shield gives you 2? Does chainmail give you 6?
Chainmail is 6, yeah, and
yeah.
shield is 2.
Yeah. Okay.
Shouldn't be 5. I guess they balanced the hell out of that armor table.
Yeah. Well, there's also chain shirt, which is only 13. So
Yeah.
it's a fun system.
I mean, it is a very logical table
Yes, it's very well thought out
from
and
a
very
game
well
design
balanced.
standpoint. Yeah. The weapons as well.
Great. I think your dwarf is fully dwarfed, unless you have some other dwarfy changes you'd like to make.
I don't think so.
Cool. Then we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we will start with our campaign. I guess we were just gonna keep the title of the first dwarf. No,
I think it's just the dwarf.
The dwarf.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. All right, back in a few, everyone. See you soon. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. We're going to quickly level up Einhard to 2nd level. I'm looking ahead, and I think that will be better for our game. And I think for 2nd level, you get Action Surge and more hit points, and you'll roll for these.
Yeah. Is there a way to roll automatically, or should I just do that good old D10 plus 3?
Click the hit die button on your character sheet. I think
Does that include... That includes level, though? I'll just roll a D10. Plus 3.
Oh!
Nice.
Baby. Oh, nice. Very, very nice here.
The dwarfiest dwarf. 25 hit points at level 2.
Okay.
And then that's almost max. I guess I could be a hill dwarf and bump that to like 27.
Mm-hmm.
I could have rolled a 10 and it'd be 28, but... And then Action Surge is just an extra action. Does that replenish on long rests or short rests? I think it's short, right?
So we are going to start. I need to ask you a couple of questions about your peoples.
We dig.
Yes. What is it that you dig? Your specific family must have a vein of one thing, and you can pick whatever that one thing is. Iron, gold, marble, silver, gems.
I think it's iron. Right? There's a nasty rumor that the black steels don't actually forge iron. It's a cheap high nickel bronze, but I think mechanically none of this. That's all slander.
All slander.
And mechanically, it doesn't matter.
Right. Excellent. So, we're going to start off our session today. After a good long day of working, you and your family members, whoever else might be working in the mines with you, and head on over to the local watering hole to hang out. Now, when we're talking about people working at the end of a mine, expanding it forward, there's only a few people that are necessary to do that job. If you add more people, you can only actually have so many people at the end of a mine hitting things with rocks, sticks, or pikes, or whatever. So there's really only like 3, maybe 4 folks involved, and if the mine gets deep, you can have more people help haul stuff out, but there's actually a limited number of people at a time in any one shaft. So let's just say it's you and 3 others. Tell me about these 3 other dwarves of yours. 3 other family members. Who are they?
I mean, didn't we all spawn into existence as one dwarven family? Is there a hierarchy? Do I have a dad, or did we all just pop out of an egg?
You all essentially popped out of a metaphorical egg, but these could be siblings. These could be cousins. These could be. These terms are weird,
they're cousins. I think we're all cousins at this point, right? Unless some of us have procreated.
Right. Yeah. So that you would think of each other as cousins because there's no actual ancestor to tie one another to. Excellent.
Correct. Yeah. And you think of every dwarf as every other dwarf's cousin. Mm-hmm. At this point in time, at least.
Love it.
Humans probably came out of the box with some weird family structure or something, but
yeah,
or maybe they just reproduce so fast that
they're like
they've already had several generations. Yeah, there you go. Fleas in a good dwarf's beard.
Excellent. So there are 3 other people who work with you here. Clearly, as the dwarf with 17 con and 17 strength, you are the main pick wielder. You know, you're clearly the front and center.
Is that so, or am I just the best pick wielder? I mean, maybe right now I'm front and center. Maybe we've encountered an obstacle or something. I think typically I would sit back and I don't know.
You're not going to use your best
forge
pick wielder?
Things or whatever. No, I think you probably got multiple mines going or multiple directions going out, and you like come back and you're like, oh, we hit a really hard
Ah,
chunk of granite, or there was a cave in.
bring out
Einhard,
Einhard.
get to the front,
Got it.
or
Okay.
get to this shaft and dig like you've never digged before.
Excellent.
You
Okay.
can tell I know a lot about mining.
So much. Other important roles in the mine are the people who build the like that shore up the walls to prevent them from collapsing. I don't know what that term is, but we're gonna call them shorers, shore uppers. I don't know. There's probably a technical term for that. And then you've got your basic haulers, the people that bring out the rocks and the materials in carts or by hand in bags or buckets or whatever. Call them haulers temporarily. What other important jobs are there in the mine that you can think of?
I mean, there's like support stuff. There's a forge somewhere back there where they're making all of these tools.
They're tool makers and craftsmen.
Maybe that's my. I mean, I guess. Maybe that's my niche. I make the best tools.
Okay.
I was trying to I would have thought to pawn that off on a family member, but it doesn't seem like there are any closer family. We're all just cousin dwarfs, right?
Okay. So Einhard is the head craftsman, the master craftsman, and then you've got your cousins who actually do the internal day-to-day operations of the mine. And then with your great strength and stamina, you can be brought in for specific tasks. Excellent.
Right. Ignorance points out the cooks, the on-site cafeteria.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that work you can offload to other people. You don't need to have a full vertical integration. You can use your vast resources and wealth to hire halflings to make food for you, or just to eat out every night. Because you dwarves, you make great mines. You're only like 4.5 feet tall, yet you have greater strength and stamina than humans. So clearly, your mines are longer, deeper, and faster dug than any humans. You can extract more resources from the earth in any given period of time than a human possibly could. And then with your smaller size, your armor and clothes need to be slightly smaller. Your houses don't need to be as large. Your lives are cheaper to maintain than that of a human, and you dig faster than a human. And so you're flush with cash, Einhard. Have we rolled for your money yet?
Do we roll for money? I've just got this 15 GP sack from the Merchants Guild.
Perfect.
And then does a class give you more? I think that's the only money you get, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm going to say you are the dwarves, and one of these factors of dwarves is their increased relative wealth to humans. So 15 is like 46. Roll me another 46 gold.
Oh, 4d6.
Excellent.
14. So basically, so you just want that in gold?
Yeah. So you.
I don't know what I'm going to spend money on. I mean, I've already got chainmail and a battle axe. Like, it's the finest equipment that money can buy, isn't it?
I suppose. But what about delicious foods? What about entertainment, singers, actors, spending money on friends?
Yeah.
There are if you have money, you can find a way to spend it. Trust me. Life experience has taught me. There's always places to spend your hard-earned resources.
And I put Mason's tools originally on my character sheet, but I think that's probably something like Smith's tools. I don't think any of this actually matters. There's a forge. There's probably also picks.
Yep.
And I can, yeah.
Excellent. So we're going to start off our session here in the nearby tavern called Rosetta's Stone Hall. And that is where all the people in the area come to gather. And on our little not battle map, but world map over here, Rosetta's Hall is this building. This
Is this outside? So this is a like hillside village outside of a mine?
Yes, I think your houses are one of these back here, and then there's just like a mine that comes out of essentially the back of your house, and then people will bring the stuff in. And if you're, for example, if the Dwarven clan's building is this one, then people would haul stuff out. You would do your forging in here, and some other people would live in here, and then you just trade outwards. And maybe the humans don't quite have one.
There are humans in this town?
Absolutely, yeah. So, humans might live in these individual houses and have their own minds, but I think the dwarves, with their cousin mentality, like, group into one large structure.
Yeah.
So Rosetta's Stone Hall is a multi-tiered building with appropriate table heights for humans and dwarves and appropriate chair heights. You've got like chairs with like a booster seat, but they're not really a booster seat. They're just seats a little bit closer to the table. They're a little bit taller, and chairs that are a little bit shorter.
Do dwarves generally use these booster seats?
If you want to sit at a table with a human, you'll need the booster seat. But you could grab one of the regular seats and sit at a table with
dwarves. So I guess you
lower.
can decide about dwarf culture in general. Einhard is probably on the tall side for a dwarf. But he's still a dwarf. I think he refuses booster seat, so he just sits at the bench with his like head at drink level.
Got it.
He like rests his beard on the table and like
that's perfect.
Makes do. So maybe are there other dwarves around me in booster seats? But Einhard is at the head of the table, sitting a head lower than everyone else.
Yes, normally the tallest
stubbornly
dwarf.
Refusing a booster seat.
Yes,
maybe only because I'm so tall I can just get the chin onto the table height.
and whereas normally you are the tallest dwarf in the area, you are now the shortest one at the table, which is source of much mirth and levity amongst your group. You're all hanging out here in the tavern when you can see a group of humans coming in. They have a nearby iron mine as well. This mountain at your back is hopefully, fingers crossed, filled with metal. That's probably why the gods spawned you here. And your mine is following one vein, and their mine is following another vein. And so far, everything has been great between your peoples. You can see the group of humans coming in, led by... Detta? D-E-H-T-A. Detta. She is the head miner for the human group. Not the craftsman, but the actual person with pick in hand who leads the charge deep under the ground. For hearing, not so great. Spending way too much time at the front with that clang, clang, clang. Going a little bit. But she and her group of folks will come on over, give you a friendly wave, and sit down at their table, a few seats over from yours. So
they're at another table. Are we on the ground? Which floor of the
we're all on the ground floor here.
Yes. Are these like booths or tables or?
There are booths along the walls and tables in the floor. Which would you like to be sitting at?
Unless it was already occupied, dwarves probably burrow into a corner booth most naturally.
Yes. Into the corner booth you go. They will take one of the outer tables, just sort of in the middle of the hall.
And I'm in like a back corner, so I guess I'm stuck facing a booth, but like one of the corners. So I guess I see the humans enter, nod in our direction, and take up a table nearby. Or
they take up one table over. There's a table between you and them. And they will quickly make signs for food and drink. Which will slowly be brought to them by the humans, halflings, and elves that work here in this highly multicultural society. One of your...
What is the rough species makeup of this setting, this tavern, this town? Like looking around the room, is it mostly humans with a few? I guess us group of dwarves and a few halflings and elves intermingling.
The town is
serving.
Roughly 1/5 human, dwarf, gnome, halfling, elf. The gnomes have a little bit of underrepresentation. The humans have a little bit more, so the actual stats might be like, 10% gnome, 20% halfling, 25% dwarf, 35% human, 20% elf, something like that. But generally, we can kind of round it to 1/5 each.
Okay.
Depending on where you are in the town. Up in this area, at the very peak of the hilltop, it's going to be a little bit more humans and dwarves. Down near the base, it's going to be a lot more halflings and elves and humans. And then the gnomes sort of hang out over in like this region over here. Yeah. And so this is where we start. As you see the humans grab, motion for food, an elven waiter comes on over and takes their order. And while they're waiting for their chopped liver and French fried potatoes to be brought to them, Detta will get up from her table, excuse herself, and walk on over and lean down, elbows on yours, and say, "Well, dwarves, Einhard, how's it going?"
Rough nod from the tabletop. Well met, Detta. It seemed like she came over with something to say, so I think we're giving her space to speak.
Yes.
But I can, anyways.
She peruses across the table and starts to make small talk about the things that they found that day in the mine, sort of sharing information with her dwarven comrades. You, as the master smith in this situation, aren't necessarily, you can participate if you want, but she's talking about the day-to-day operations.
I think we're encouragingly let her spill her whatever, but expecting there to be an angle or a but, or they want something, so we're cagey. We don't really talk about our days. I think the conversation kind of stopped when she walked over, and we're kind of
the one bit that she seems to be interested in is the max length of your mine at this point. Is that something that you would be willing to share, or is the total depth of your tunnel closely held secret?
That's still closely held secret, but I think we will probably discuss the hypotheticals of how deep you could dig in different materials before you need a support structure. And so if she was really savvy, she could probably piece together that given our understanding how far I don't know.
Well, she has a +2 on her insight check, and so with a 20 on the roll, she is savvy enough to sort of piece together what you're talking about, the materials you're digging through, and she clearly hasn't encountered any of these materials yet, even though your mine is right here and her mine is right over here.
So I'm talking about blardy blar in the soft whatever topsoil, whatever they call it. And then you need, it takes so long to dig through granite, and you need it weighs it's this dense, so you need to put a support every however many feet. So she's probably able to piece together that we're through the easy dirt, and we're already engineering how often we need to be building these supports in the deep rock that we're working through. And she's like, whoa, we haven't even encountered that layer yet.
Yeah, and you can see the excitement on her face tinged with a little bit of frustration, where her people are not nearly that far ahead. And she'll end the conversation with a bit of a, well, I mean, since you're doing so great, isn't it customary for the winners to bring the second, to pay for drinks for the second place, for the runners-up?
Somehow she blindsided all of, I'm not even going to roll for it, all of the radar earlier on, right? Of what's she want? What's the angle? And the subject of another round comes up, and it's hard to disagree with that logic. And
isn't it?
Flags over one of the halfling nearby, and orders pitchers for the tables.
Well.
I don't know how packed the. No, it's probably just another round of pitchers, please. And so it's not for the whole establishment, but they probably bring 2 pitchers over to the dwarf table, 2 over to the human table.
Yeah, the same elf that was waiting on them.
And the tab goes up.
comes over, takes your orders. We'll bring back some nice ceramic vases or vases or whatever you want to call them, filled with booze for you all to share amongst yourselves. She'll thank you profusely and then remind you that anytime you want, she's happy to do a foot race with you dwarves from the bottom of the town to the top of the town. If you ever need to stretch your legs. And with that, she'll take off for a little bit, leaving you and your cousins to... What? How do you feel about these?
You see the look on her face when we described tunneling through granite? Those silly humans are still messing around in the dirt, digging their way out of landslides, and so yeah.
I'm so glad to be done with the alluvium,
it.
says one dwarf. Another one nods in agreement. And the conversation quickly turns to the talk of metal tools and how best, we've got this idea. Instead of having a pick with one dwarf and then having to put it down and pick up to get an axe to help cut the wood, what if one side was a pick and one side was an axe? Can we do that, Einhard? Can it be done?
Oh, well, and brilliant idea. Oh, yeah, I think Einhard can manage that.
Yeah. And it's while these little conversations are happening that one of the nearby people, the door will open up, as it has before, and a human will walk in, but this one is sort of like stumbling in, clutching their right shoulder, giving a bit of a gasp and a whiny sound as they tumble to the ground, falling. Some of the...
Swihard jumps to his feet and with surprising swiftness, given his size and his cups. So I guess he's now like standing on the booth table, but that probably just puts him slightly taller than humans, maybe. And I think other dwarves, stand up and get to their attention. I'm sure the whole bar turns to look and see. I'm guessing there's at least one table between us and the door, so they're probably the ones that are jumping in there and like, oh my god, what's
with
going
their closer
on?
Proximity and their higher speed, the group of humans led by Detta.
So you were talking about the hearing damage by Detta, or hearing damage. I think Orthodox dwarves grow their hair so that it like covers their ears, and they certainly would never trim the hairs in their ear canal. So that protects us from hearing damage. But we'll tuck back our locks to eavesdrop in on the conversation.
Do you wear like headbands of some kind that help like press the hair against your ears to give a
I think
dampening?
like a helmet, right?
Helmet. Wouldn't that just make it ring more? I don't know. I've never worn
that's what the dampening is from the hair.
Got it. The hair helps insulate and dampen. Well, the humans hurry on over, and you can see that this person who's like pitched forward on their face has these huge claw rakes down their back shoulder. They have fallen into unconsciousness, and you can see through the legs of the people or around the hips of the people, out the front door and sort of down these steps. There are a few people sort of scurrying in panic, and there is one very large griffin that is perched on this little bridge right here, standing over a person of some kind. You can't tell what or who it is, but they're on the bridge, ripping apart this person and like picking the flesh off the bones like a vulture or a falcon or a hawk might do.
It sounds like, we definitely aren't the first to leap to action. I don't even think the dwarves move. It sounded like we had a view of the door. So at least initially we like see through the open doorway, the griffin out there. This is like evening? End of day?
Yeah, it's late afternoon.
There's enough light that we can see it. But so we just stand in a semicircle and watch, but we let the humans deal with it and assume that it will fly away soon. That might be different if we were like prepared. Like I doubt I have my armor on. I don't have a battle axe with me.
Yeah, why would anyone bring armor and weapons a block away?
So we'd be braver if we were properly equipped or backed into a corner or something like that. But I think in this case we're just happy to hunker down in the safety of our booth and see how the scene unfolds, assuming that the griffin will eat what it came to eat and fly away within. Yeah, because that's what birds of prey do, right?
That's what they do, and everyone watches from the inside of the inn. People grab, chair legs or beer bottles or whatever they might have on hand, just in case something gets bad. And the griffin will munch on the person for a good 5-10 minutes, which pass very quickly when you're watching the carnage.
So there's a guy. Is he dying on the tavern floor, or is he?
He's wounded.
Wounded. Okay, so he's like helped up, and someone's.
Yeah, but he's unconscious. He has deep scrapes across his back, which are being pressed with bar rags, and someone's taking care of him. Hopefully, he's gonna make it.
So he's not coherent enough to like tell a story. He's in like shock, and yeah, all right.
Yeah, he just managed to stumble into the tavern. Clearly,
so I think some of the humans hold the door open. Yeah, most of my group probably can't see, but I'm standing up, maybe on the table by now, to like see over the crowd out the door that's being held open. As a crowd gathers, probably. Does anyone leave the tavern, or are we all?
Nobody is going to leave the tavern. This is a very large creature. Has huge, sharp talons and a nasty beak. This is one of those monstrous creatures that was created by the gods to, I don't know. No one really knows why this thing is around, but they made it. They made it early, and it is feasting upon what appears to be one of the halflings that wasn't quite fast enough to run away from the griffin. And after the 5 or 10 minutes of it, the creature will take flight and head this way. Very quickly, you lose sight of them out the door. The many peoples of the tavern look amongst themselves, some creeping to windows, some running up to the second floor to look out the windows over there. Might have a better view. What do the dwarves do? Or what does the leader of the dwarves do?
Do we have a lore master amongst our ranks? Is there someone that I would be discussing with? Was that a griffin? Is this the first time we've seen one of these things here? Or are they known to attack the town?
They are known to live in the mountains relatively nearby. No one knows exactly where it is that they live, but griffins can be seen in the air almost weekly. They can be seen in the air. And rarely
has one ever attacked the town?
Yes, not the middle of the town, but like the edge of the town. Some of the farmlands a little bit lower down. This is the first time you've seen one like in the middle of the city.
Yeah, those things are getting bolder. And then I think conversation moves to like our safety. Like we should probably dig a tunnel, right, to get from the tavern to our mine. And I think that's where some side conversation amongst a couple of the dwarves goes. I think Einhard will push his way to the door through the crowd and peer up to like watch the creature go. So maybe he's at the front now, but like at the waist of the front people or whatever. So he peers out in front, but
you can see that the griffin has gained some altitude and has circled a little bit, and then dives down to one of these fields, getting lost below the side of the mountain for a moment or two before it swoops back up, another small creature in its claws as it flies away, this time carrying a person with it, probably off to its nest, maybe off to its young. Who knows?
Yeah. Sensing the danger, flying away. So I heard we'll like walk down the steps and peer around the building and watch the beast fly off into the sunset. Unless it were truly maddened, it wouldn't take more than it could eat, and it's not going to carry more than one. I guess 2 people. Does it have 2 people, or it ate? It fed on one and then took another back to its nest.
It fed on the small little halfling and then grabbed what appears to be either a halfling or a skinny dwarf or a human child.
These mountains are my home, so I know them well. I will note the peak or like wherever the griffin flies off to. So I'll watch it fly off into the the twilight.
It heads northwest.
Is this a valley here, or is this
This is
or like the side of a mountain?
Okay. Yeah, or maybe like a great hill is probably a better way to say it. It's not. I think you are. This cliff maybe drops a few hundred feet down below, so you're not like 1,000 or 2,000 feet up on top of a mountain, but you're just up a cliffside with a steep ledge.
Okay. And the Griffin goes away from the hill,
along the range of hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I see where it lands, or does it disappear from vision?
Give me a perception check as you watch the Griffin fly. See if you can sort out its end location.
Yeah. Sorry, character sheet loading. All right, perception. Getting these dice warm. I'm not proficient.
Yeah, with a 10, you sort of lose it. The air here is not particularly clear. It's a little bit misty everywhere, and it just gets hard to follow it as it heads roughly west, and the sun's sort of bright, and then it gets lost in the mist and the clouds. Gone. As you are watching this thing happen, you can notice that there's a lot of conversation happening inside the tavern, and soon folks come out of their houses and conversations spring up all throughout the streets as everyone discusses amongst themselves this happening. I mean, what we should do about it. Really the question at hand. The dwarves amongst you will say, well, yeah, see the creature that they dragged up. That could have been one of ours. That could have been little Jimmy. Could have been little Timmy. Who knows? The humans will nod and say, well, even our adults could have been grabbed by a griffin. The injured person will have finally come to consciousness and say that he was scraped over the shoulder. He didn't even see the griffin. He was just walking down the street, and then all of a sudden, claws, and he hit the ground. And these things, they come by surprise. They fly on silent wings. How do you even know if one's coming? Who's got time to look up all day? Input on this process?
The main suggestions from the dwarves are, well, I don't think that could have, I mean, I guess that could have been one of ours wandering out, but the solution is to go where the griffins can't get us, right? Underground.
So surely one of the humans pipes into your conversation.
Yeah. I was maybe one of the more paranoid dwarves is like, how are we even going to get back from the tavern to our mine right now? What if it comes back? We should start tunneling right now.
No, says one of the humans. We don't need to worry that much. Surely that's not such a danger. We can't just live underground. Ridiculous solution to a small problem. What if we find where the griffins live? We put an end to them once and for all. That way we don't have to move an entire... You know how long it'll take to dig houses underground? How long it'll take to expand them? What about airflow? What about light? We can't live forever under the earth.
You have any idea how many griffins there could be out there?
None.
And where do we stop? This nest? This range? The continent?
The ones that come after us.
Tis far more prudent to defend our this town from attackers than to go out and stop the attacks before they... Yeah.
Well, I mean, you say that only because it'll take you so long to get there. We've got reach. We've got long legs. We could find them in a reasonable amount of time, don't you think?
Then find them. Take your long legs and march down the range for all I care.
Yeah, someone calls over one of the elves to get an elven opinion on this. Elf, you're long-lived, long-limbed. You've got the reach and the stealth. Do you think one of yours or a group of yours could find where those griffins are and deal with them once and for all? The elf hems and haws and says they'll have to discuss with their family. A very traditional elven answer is that they always have to talk everything out in long conversations, and they will excuse themselves from their waitering job and head off to find their elven family to discuss the nature of griffins and if we could find them. You expect not to hear back from them for a couple of weeks on this topic.
Well, when you humans think the better of it and are ready to defend this town from griffins and other avian threat, we'll be happy to supply you with bolts for the ballistae. But till then, Harump, have fun on your adventure. And I think the dwarves will take leave before the beast comes back and return to their mine.
Yes, a lot of dwarves can all head back to their large compound, their multi-storied domicile, made of good solid stone walls.
And just debate the merits of ever going back to that tavern. Until we've got a tunnel from here to there, right?
I mean, it's only a couple hundred feet. We can walk that. It's just a narrow window of... We'll just hire a tall human to walk in front of us. Then the griffins will grab them by the shoulders instead of us, right? But the idea of a tunnel in your house in the tavern... Well, that's every dwarf's dream, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that definitely gets proposed. Who owns the tavern? Do we have to ask permission, or can we just start tunneling?
That is a philosophical question.
And the land in between. I mean, I think this will. Elves have their ways of debating, and I guess dwarves have their ways of discussing. So I think, yeah, at least for a few days, this is the conversation going on in dwarf land.
The tavern is owned by one of the elves, whose name is Rosetta.
Okay.
Yep, that's who owns it. She's been there just as long as you. She too spawned into the world as a tavern owner. And
then I guess And in the meantime, I think dwarves are probably walking around in their armor. Probably armed, right?
The attack is over for the night, but all the dwarves put on their armor and weapons.
Not immediately, but I mean, like the next day, if anyone has to go out on do anything. I don't know how you want to move through this, but I'm guessing it will take probably 3 days to come to some sort of consensus. But I'm guessing at about that time, like a written request to Rosetta for permission to tunnel into her basement or something gets brought by a dwarven messenger. Would anything happen before the dwarves reach there?
No. There's no
deliberations.
Return. Yeah, the Griffin does not come back the next day or any time in the next 3 days.
So yeah, dwarves, we continue with our typical mining operation, although it slows down as more theorizing happens and debate and discussion. And I think the eventual conclusion will be to, we got to dig this tunnel to the tavern, and then it gets into who owns the earth, who do we need to, anyways. And then
during those 3 days, do all the dwarves stay armed and armored when they go to the tavern, or do you just not even go anymore?
Was it typical that we would go to the tavern every day after? Yeah,
it's the post-workday socialization spot. Your home office, we're gonna call it, isn't really designed
so I guess
for that.
Do we have a viewing? Like, we can see out into the town, right? There's a window or something, so we would know what's going on. I think the dwarves would wait and see what the humans do. But like the next day, is it look common for humans to be?
The humans go about their life. They're not. They don't seem too.
No, they don't even change. You don't see. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe a couple of paranoid ones will carry pointy sticks or farming implements with them, but for the most part, the humans just go about their lives without concern for the avian threat.
Einard is bold and strong. I think what happens, so while the philosophers debate the legal implications of building a network of tunnels underneath the city it starts with just to the tavern, but then they're like, all right, what if we need to go to the market, or blah 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 blah, how are we going to get our delivery food from the halfling dumpling house down the street? So anyway, but at the end of that next day, so before any sort of consensus has been reached, Einard and a group of dwarves will probably go to the tavern as per usual. And there will be less dwarves going, but at least us group will go, and we will be armored. So almost comically so. So like there will be a group of whatever four, maybe it's that same crew of four dwarves, and we like formation through town with like steel capped helmets and like shields overhead, checking for griffins as this little steel hedge of dwarf ambles down the street to the tavern, and then
you'll make it
inside as if
into the tavern, and like the musicians are still there. There's people still going about their life as the group of armed dwarves come in, and there's like
it like opens up. So like three of the dwarves form a shield wall at the door, like, keeping a watch up to the skies as Einar enters, and then that like they disassembles, and every dwarf gets in and like unstraps their shields and loosens the helmet,
which is followed by raucous laughter from the assembled humans and elves who just think this is the funniest sight in the world.
It goes way over our heads, and we, if we can grab the booth, we can. Otherwise, we get a table somewhere in the middle and order a pitcher for the.
Yep. The chairs creak under the increased weight of your chain mail and your helmets, and
I think a dwarf in mail probably weighs about as much as a large human, right?
Maybe. But
I'm
these
thinking
are like daintily crafted elven chairs, and so they creak, they don't break, but there's like a as you sit in them. These chairs are made with no nails; they're just like fastened wood, and so the wood fittings like pull against each other slightly.
But well within the elastic region of the wood. These are anyways.
Yeah, they can make a chair. Not a problem.
Yeah. not a dwarven chair, but
I mean, surely, but it doesn't have like the stability, but it's got some grace to it,
Yeah. I think even at like 140 pounds plus 55 pounds of chain mail, doing some. I think Einard's like barely over 200 pounds, so it creaks the same way a chair creaks when Ryan sits in it.
Yeah. But imagine Ryan sat in a dainty chair made by people who don't weigh over 140 pounds.
Yeah.
Not an American chair. So there's immediately
it goes way over the dwarf side. We have there unless anyone like asks us to not wield our weapons in polite company. I think we ignore the laughter and go on as if nothing is amiss.
No one's concerned about the weapons here. No one thinks that any of you are a threat to anyone. No one's worried that you're going to hurt them. But Detta will come on over with a couple other humans and nod in the direction of your stuff and say, "Rainy day out. I see you brought some sort of protection from the clouds."
You never know when the feather's gonna fall. With
Well, it's all right, she says, while your head's all the way up at the table. Chin up, buddy. It'll be fine. We'll take care of it. We've decided already. We're gonna send a group out. We're gonna find where these griffins live, and we're gonna just deal with the threat once and for all. It'll be okay. Pats you on the shoulder once.
Griffin hunters. Well. Cousin Morty in the tombstone business will be pleased.
Oh well, I mean, we're not gonna just run foolhardily into the griffin's nest and throw ourselves upon its talons. We'll come up with a plan. We got some rope.
Who are these brave griffin hunters, and whose axe are they taken?
Well, I'm gonna go. I gotta. She will point out the Detta. She points out the door. I've got some spears. We've got some tools that we put together in the last couple days.
You, Detta, no! This town would be lost without you. You can't risk your life gallivanting and griffin hunting.
It'll be fine. Look, there's one griffin. It carried off something, so maybe it's got like a couple of small griffins. If 20 of us go with pointy sticks, how is it going to get to all 20 of them?
Pointy sticks!
Yeah, it's the best weapon in the world. Pointy stick. Hearing this conversation. Oh, go ahead if you want.
Yeah. Well, Einar offered at least let me coated in steel. Get you a proper steel. Or proper spear.
Yeah, of course we've got steel heads for our spears. I was working on them all.
Okay.
We were working on them all day.
No, I insist. It's yeah.
Oh well, if you insist, I mean that's great. That's great. And it's now that
But I really wish we could talk you out. So yeah.
Yeah, as you're trying to discuss this, Rosetta herself will come on over, hearing the conversation.
I thought this was Rosetta.
This was Detta.
Who's Detta? Oh, Detta's the human.
Human
no.
Oh, no.
I was role-playing so hard, and I thought I was offering this to the elven barkeep.
No. I was wondering why you thought she was a staple of society. This is the human miner.
All right.
You're okay with them going off with their pointy sticks?
Oh. No, I'm torn. I'm not sure.
Well,
yeah.
Rosetta comes over, hearing the conversation about pointy sticks and spears and getting rid of the griffins, and she says, "Well, hold, please, Detta. Slow your roll here. We are discussing the possibility of relocating the griffin nest to a more distant place. We have some magicians among our numbers, and we might be able to put the griffins peacefully to sleep and then haul the nest and everything to a more distant spot. And that way we don't have to kill anything." Detta, you wanna move the griffins from their home and hope that they don't come back? How far away? They have wings. Rosetta. How far can they fly? How far would you have to move a nest to save the town, to keep the town safe? Rosetta's like, well, patience. We will sort this out. There are solutions that don't involve needlessly destroying such a majestic creature. Just, if you don't mind, give us some time to come up with a more peaceful option. And in exchange, tonight's food and drink is all on me. And Detta will nod and look to you, the dwarf. You mind holding off the spears for a little bit?
Well, I've never advocated for action, short of preparation. We will wait, but I'll have it be known that spear making is business as usual in in our house. So wouldn't want to deviate from tradition.
Everyone agrees that this is a sound strategy and goes back to their respective bits.
The dwarves, were never. I mean, we thought it was absurd to go off questing for griffins,
right?
But
it's ridiculous.
We'll still be making metal spears for the
case
for the foolhardy adventurers.
Excellent. And I think this is our good first breaking point. We have seen our town. We've been introduced to a potential threat, and we've seen how our different groups of folks approach plans and personal safety. So back in a few minutes with a little bit more Dicing with Death. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with Death. So, the question of the Griffin is being debated and being set up. And in the meantime, life must continue as normal. That's what we're going to talk about here. You are the master craftsman. You do all of the, I shouldn't say all of the, but most of the tool making and turn the precious iron pulled from your mine into wonderful things. However, as a mining town up here, this village, there's a lot of such stuff, and there's not enough of a market in this small town to buy all of your wares. So from time to time, you must travel really, someplace to sell your stuff. Right? That seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, sounds reasonable. Do we have any trade deals with other towns or trade routes, or is there
There is a nearby larger town. They would call themselves a town and you a village. You might call you a town and they a city. Those, here nor there right now. But there's a larger place fairly nearby. It's a couple day. It's like 2 or 3 days for a dwarf, depending on the weather. If it's muddy, it'll be 3 or 4 days. If it's nice and dry and call it clear, it'll only be like a 2-day journey. If you winds at your back, to help you go downhill pretty fast. But the question before us is that, can you even journey to the next village, to the town, when there are so many potential threats nearby? How does Einhard deal with this problem?
Uh, by making more tools, which in this case are pointy sticks. Yeah, and are the dwarves scheduled to go on a trade run to this city?
Yeah, normally
Yeah.
you build up a amount of things that you can carry in your backpack, and then you head off.
Oh, really? No cart?
You could. No, I think the journey between
We
here
would
and
need.
there is not entirely bridged. Like, there are creeks and rivers that need to be waded across, and the carts. Like, in the future, you could build bridges to facilitate trade, but for the time being,
Okay,
in
right
these
now
early
there's not.
days, yeah, everything has to sort of be carried by backpack. And this town up here on these mountain steps doesn't really have anything in the way of horses. There might be like
Yeah.
a mule that comes through every now and then, but generally everything is done by hand.
We'll probably delay then, and I think operate at a loss for a while. So we're going to be making those iron spearheads for the human gallivanters, and probably delay our next trade mission and let a few humans get eaten on the road. Is what it sounds like. But I think we'll use at least my mind we'll be making more steel weapons to defend the town, and have less need to go on a trade mission. We're not going to be making as much money.
Yeah,
Right, making these spearheads for our broke ass neighbors. Like, normally we would probably we would be making fine tools and weapons and whatever, and carry it over to the next town and sell it there. Maybe sell like even just like nice iron bar stock, steel, whatever for their crafting. But yeah, so we'll probably keep chugging away for a couple weeks. Are we digging that tunnel to the tavern? Did it get approval?
Yes, Rosetta is comfortable with you doing that. She's got some requirements. She wants the tunnel to be deeper than you would probably like, because she wants to make sure you don't run into any of the like surrounding doesn't want you to like depleting the nearby soil of root growth options. So she wants you to go like down from the tavern like 20 feet and then over and then up or whatever, instead of like coming in just underneath the surface.
And it's probably not like tunneling into her tavern, right? She's like, okay, you can tunnel into a weird little dwarf shack adjacent to the tavern, or what? Or is this like a basement of the tavern?
No, she is you can either build, you can either tunnel out to this part of the mountain right here, which would then just be across the street, or all the way to just outside of this area. But you'd have to like be very careful to make your little exit in a place where you're not going to disrupt the root structure of the nearby vegetation. Or if you want, all the way into her basement. She has no reason to distrust you. She doesn't think you're going to steal from her.
So we'll see.
Things
We're
go
starting
missing,
to tunnel on this end. In a few months, she'll have dwarves popping up somewhere near her tavern, but
it sounds like good
slow
business.
Going, chip by chip. Yeah.
That does mean, though, that you will have redistributed your workforce to be extracting less resources from the earth. And
which is another reason why we need to trade less. So I think we hunker down. We are building weapons of war and tunneling to the tavern. That's probably the main focus of the dwarves for several weeks at least. Meanwhile, humans are out there getting eaten.
The Griffins don't show up for another 4 or 5 days, but then they do come back. And this time, the Griffin brings its 2 fledglings. It's 2 kits. I'm not sure what you would call a baby Griffin. And the 3 of them will circle in the air for a little while before The little ones do some like practice dive bombing, not actually grabbing at people, but just sort of like, and then taking off again. And they circle for a while until everyone is hidden inside the buildings. And then big old Mama Griffin comes down. Where's a weak looking building? Comes down near this building over here and tries to like rip apart the thresh on the roof to eat the occupants, successfully tearing it to pieces. And
wow.
Yeah, just breaking through the straw on top of the building and getting to that soft little people side.
Does all this happen so fast that these are just stories that we hear, or is this taking place in real time?
It does take place in real time. They do spend like 20 or 30 minutes dive bombing before the main assault. Do you have a plan? Are you brave enough to...
Perhaps. I'm more... I've as usual, we'll let the foolish humans go first.
Mm-hmm.
But we would probably watch and armor up if we were... Or maybe we're deep in our minds and we don't even notice and we hear the story later. That's kind of what I was trying to ask.
Well, whoever would have been out in the streets would have warned the people of your building that there were griffins, mm-hmm. and whoever was in your building, which it probably would be you, would then, inform.
Do we have
a
lookout tower in this? Like, can we climb up to a top window and look out and see this village, the village slopes below?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
It's not a great tower. If you had a taller tower, you'd be able to see more, but you do have like. It's high enough that you can look over the buildings in front of you.
Or can we climb? Can we climb on the roof? Is that how it works, or is?
You could bring a ladder out and climb onto the roof. It's not.
Oh no! Like from the inside, we have some upgrades to make to this. Mm-hmm. We need some kind of lookout tower. But anyways, we gather around like the top windows or whatever our most convenient viewing location is, and look out at the Griffin attack in the valley. And I think the dwarves probably sit tight. We armor up if we're not already there. We've got our weapons clutched, mm-hmm. and we watch. 4 to 5 days. I would guess by now how long does it take to make a spear? Like a day?
I mean, you buy the haft from someone else. You got to make the head. Probably one spearhead per day. Yeah. Something
like that. So by now there's probably 4 fine steel spears in the hands of foolish humans. So I guess we're kind of watching to see if any of those brave humans will spring to action. Like, do we see the humans doing anything, or do we just watch for half an hour as this griffin devours a hut and the people inside?
Yeah, you watch for half an hour as they swoop, and then the large griffin lands on the hut and rips apart the thresh. And one person tries to go out the front door, and one of the little ones comes by and like scrapes at it, and picks at it. Yeah,
babies are feeding now too. Whose house is that? Is that a human house or?
That is
a little halfling hut down by the river.
So convenient. Humans, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, elves. Humans, dwarves, gnome. That's a gnomish house. One of the leather workers in town. And as the little gnomes go running. One of the griffin babies, I'll make the attack at disadvantage since it's supposed to be a baby. Still gonna make a griffin attack.
Oh no, that's Alfonso's hut. He's got kids.
Oh, absolutely. The 18 will very easily grab one of the little gnomes and rip it to shreds with its beak afterwards. The little griffin feasts upon the gnome.
Oh, the humanity, the gnomanity.
The mother rips open the building, grabs out one of the gnomes herself. The other baby perches on the beams that hold the building together and peers down curiously inside the building. Can't hear the cries of the gnomes within, but there. What'd you call him?
Alfonso.
Alfonso is the proud father of 7 children.
Oh no.
Yes. And
how many die in the
3 will die. Yeah. Each child will take one and the mother will take one. And the whole thing lasts maybe an hour before they take off again. Not a single human raised a spear in defense. Or your cousins will talk about the bravado and the boisterous speak of humans and come to the rough conclusion that these humans, they're all talk. They don't actually want to do anything. They just want to say they're going to do something.
All right. Then it will end at 4 spears. And I think next we'll put our efforts towards allying with the gnomes and building better weapons. Has the ballista been invented yet? Is that a thing that we know of?
It has not been invented yet. There has not been a war. There's been no need for a tool of war. Some great.
Okay, well, we're certainly inventing a ballista. Like, what if you had a crossbow, like a hunting bow, but it was really big? I could make that arrow. I could make that bolt. But the mechanism and these, yeah. So I don't know. There's probably some guild meetings or something, or some channels where we could communicate with gnomish craftsmen.
Yeah, the gnomes
and undertake the construction of a ballista or 3 for the town.
In this town in particular, the gnomes are known for their cobbling. They pretty much make all the shoes in the area, unless you're making like iron boots or whatever, and for their leather working in particular. That's what these gnomes are best known for.
And is the ballista purely dwarven invention? I mean, I guess we're trying to, like, the gnomes just got, or a gnome.
Yeah, poor Alfonso lost 3 children to this day. I mean, he's got 4 more, so it's not that big of a loss, but yeah.
All right. Okay.
Well, difficult situation. You dwarves have enough stashed cash that you should be able to not leave town to get more. But the humans, as we've discussed, they don't bring in as much money, and they need to spend more on their daily expenses, and so they must travel to the next town over in order to sell their wares, in order to make ends meet. At which point, Detta will come over and ask you if you can sell your wares for a small fee. We'll take them to the next town over. We'll do our best to sell them. We'll take a 20% cut and give you the rest.
And take credit for our steel?
No. You
Never.
It'll be dwarven made. You can put your name on it, put your mark on the metal itself. We won't take credit for your work. We'll just help you transport it. Since it's only 1 day for us and 2 days for you.
We can sell you our wares, and as you know, we treat anyways.
We'll need you to loan us the money, because we can't buy them up front. And we need to make some money off it too, so we need you to sell us them cheap.
Yeah. I don't think that's gonna happen.
Alright, well,
yeah. So we would sell them, but they don't want they aren't gonna buy anything.
Yeah,
and this after we gave you those spears and you just watched as Alfonso's kids were eaten alive.
4's not enough. We need more than 4.
Anyways, yeah. They'll do
they
can go. Thing. We're not interested yet. I mean, eventually we may get desperate enough for money that we'll have to come up with a solution, but
Right, well then, it sounds like you're just continuing your tunnel from your place to the tavern and keeping your head low. How good are you with finances? Who is your financial advisor within your family?
Don't know. There's got to be someone, though. I mean, we're good. We're strong counters. So Swihard knows how many gold coins are in his pouch, but
useful skill.
In terms of, like, I don't know.
Well, why don't you roll me 2 sets of 3d6 for your smartest dwarves, your best money counters, your core financial advisors.
So 3d6. Wait, one. Roll 3d6 twice? Is this like their intelligence or something? Oh.
Yeah, they're int. Okay, so you got a 14 int dwarf. Excellent. That's a +2 on intelligence check related things. So give me
he's probably proficient in whatever it is he's thinking
so that's
of,
another
like,
+2.
whatever he's
so
counting.
give me a d20 +4 for the long-term planning skills of your head finance. 14's a great number in 5th edition. Yeah, that's actually solid.
I think we talk the gnomes into financing a lot of the ballista construction, and we've saved well for a moment like this. So I think
Yeah. Your financial advisor tells you that you should be able to operate, and at your current level of expenditure, you're very comfortable, food and drink whenever you want, anything that you need, not frivolously, for another 2 months, after which money will become a short problem.
Right. How long will it take us to build ballistae?
Well, someone has to come up with plans, and then those plans need to be like tested and refined, right? So you could draw up your first rough draft in a couple of days, probably, but you won't know if it's functional until it's been built and tested, and then tweaked and built and tested and tweaked and so forth.
So I think
and
we
so on.
chug ahead for at least a month, right? Burning through our cash reserves, building and testing ballistae, and tunneling to the tavern. Do we get word back of the human trade exploits?
Yeah, it's a day there for them and 2 days back because you got to go uphill on the way back. And then they return in a week, so they've spent probably 4 days down in the next town over doing all the trading and selling, and they come back pretty happy. They've got the 4 spears that you've made for them over their shoulders, and their bags are pretty much empty, except for these like big bulging sacks near their hips. And they come back with like a song on their lips, and they're whistling, and as you see them from your holdout one day while you're taking a break from your crafting, you see the humans come on up through the streets, making their way up, and not even stopping off at home first, going straight to the tavern with their packs bulging with money.
I think us dwarves were probably on the roof watching this, so we've made, maybe it's just like a ladder up to one of what was originally a window. But there's like a hatch you can get up out onto the roof, and we've got like our prototype ballista up there, and we're tweaking it, and maybe there's a couple gnomes over.
Yeah,
and we watch the humans walk over to the tavern.
Yeah, you can
but I think no one wants to admit anything, or intrigue or jealousy or envy, whatever. But right about then, the consensus is that, oh, well, it's been a hard day's work. It's about time to head on over to the tavern, even though it's only like 4 in the afternoon.
Right. The lot can head on over, and
we'll hear, but the humans regale us with tales of the road.
Wouldn't you know that the town, with fewer suppliers coming into them, have higher demand for goods, and the humans were able to sell everything at 20% higher prices than normal and sold 100% of their wares that they had brought with them. And so they're coming back with unusual amounts of money and are pretty excited about this development.
How long has it been since they
7
left?
Days, a week since they left. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Your Gnomish and Elven musicians are still performing, some gentle music in the background of Rosetta's stone, and the humans immediately set out to buy all the dwarves coming in a nice set of drinks. 2 drinks for each dwarf coming on in, as you shield and armor and weapons, I am imagining, still.
Yeah, we've got a little shield wall around our gnomish friends as we all make way to the...
Gnomes walk in like royalty, a little bit shorter than you, covered by all these like well-armed gentlemen and ladies, and make their way into the tavern. 2 beers for a dwarf, 1 beer for a gnome, because they're so much smaller.
We've got that advantage on poison, so it takes twice as much to have the same effect.
Right.
And yeah, we bitterly listen to the humans. We're probably kind of quiet, little
would
gruff,
you
but that's
believe,
the usual.
Einhard, would you believe that they ran out of shovels? That there's some new farms being built and a whole bunch of new workers, and the shovel demand in the next town over through the roof. We're able to sell our shovels at 150% of their normal value. Our hammers...
Your shovels?
Our shovels.
Your bronze shovels? Or is this
They're great shovels. What are you talking about? They don't rust very easily, unlike your iron shovels that you used to sell. Yeah, the hammers, 110% normal price. Nails, 120% normal price. It was a good day out there. 120% normal nails.
Well, that's the easiest thing to make.
She puts her arms up. I know. You know, we might have to start outsourcing some of our crafting to you, since we've got, so much trade to be done.
As we said, our doors are open.
Yeah.
We're happy to sell you shovels.
You know what? We'll take them.
Nails.
We'll take them all.
Spears.
Sure.
And he says, maybe looking at they probably got free spears on their backs or whatever. They tricked us into thinking that they would defend the town with them, and now they're off using it to defend their. Yeah. Anyways.
We'll buy them all. In fact, we'll buy them all tonight. Take tomorrow as a rest and head right back to the city the next day. Yeah, pats her other friends around the shoulders. This mining thing working out great. This trading thing working out even better.
I think we'll finish the round and probably invite the humans back to our hall.
Is your hall
or is
human friendly in size?
It is. No. If we're being honest, it's probably Dwarf is what, like 4 feet tall?
Yeah.
3.5, 4, somewhere.
4-ish?
So we probably got like 6-foot ceilings. So a human can probably and maybe if there's like a hall, it's like extra extravagant. I mean, like an 8. I guess an 8-foot person. But anyways, yeah, I've got
they can Gandalf into your house
so
if they need to.
Right, they could fit, but it would be claustrophobic. I don't think unless they're really tall, they're not gonna be bumping their heads.
Right.
Maybe on the occasional doorway, but they could. It's human accessible, just not human friendly.
They will pass on visiting your establishment this day.
Okay, then we'll negotiate, and then we know our inventory, and we know our prices. They'll probably talk us into 10% discount or
that's
20%
that's the plan. They'll start with 20%,
10%.
but they'll be happy to sell for 10.
Okay, so we sell and so not explicitly stated, but we all know they're getting 10% off. They're gonna sell it for 20-30% more.
Mm-hmm.
So we know our inventory. We'll sell them however many nails and odd weapons and tools, and basically they probably just I don't know how much gold they had, but they the group of them encumbers themselves with random metal shit and
anything
hikes out
that
the
you've
next
been
day.
making, they'll hold on to. They'll take one day of resting in town because they did just hike up a mountain for 2 days, but then they'll head out the next day. And
or is their mine one of these down the street?
Yeah, their primary mine is right next to yours. If this is yours, theirs is right over here. But then the humans are scattered across this group of humans that we're dealing with are scattered across this side of the river. There are, of course, other human groups around here, but Deda's people are those.
Okay. So we are happy to sell them discount iron while we hunker down and dig our tunnels and bolster our defenses.
Mm-hmm. And not a word is mentioned of griffins amongst these folks. They just doesn't come up. And we can just fast forward again. Another week later, the humans will return with goods with cash in tow, gold and silver, and you'll see that they are also wearing new little bits of jewelry, shells, shell necklaces, and earrings, and braided bands that go around wrists and foreheads, made of exotic things that can't be found up here on the hillside. And the tunnel to Rosetta's stone is 90% complete. You're underneath the building, and it's just the final decision of do you come up in the basement or do you come up in the backyard? And the griffins, they haven't been seen in weeks.
Days or weeks? Yeah.
Not since the griffins ate Alfonso's children have they been seen.
Do we have a working prototype ballista?
Let's What die roll do you think that should be?
I feel like there's probably some kind of intelligence related roll to invent it, and then I would think it would be like a smith tool roll to build it.
Huh.
Yeah.
Not an engineering skill, but there could be a...
Maybe even just a... Oh, I guess it'd be a... Yeah. It's like...
Insight, maybe? No.
Yeah, but that's wisdom. Yeah, I don't know. We're not trying to gamify invention.
No,
Maybe,
yeah, that's fine.
it'd probably be like a series of linked tests, and who knows.
Yeah. Well, you've got a prototype. And... roll me a d20. Roll me a d20. That's how we'll do this. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Not great.
Yeah, you get your first prototype up there, and you realize that the metal plate that holds the tension of the crossbow is just too thick, and the amount of power that it takes to winch it back doesn't, it doesn't bend far enough with the available things. And so you're gonna need like a thinner plate to brace to provide the flex, and maybe a larger winch in order to pull it back a little bit more. So make some adjustments, but the frame seems solid. The frame seems real solid, and that bolt, it's pointy. It's very pointy.
All right, so we're not ready if the Griffin comes back to
No,
take a shot at it, but...
And the next day, the humans set out, they come back with all these new jewelry that they're carrying, their bags filled, stories that when they come back this time, they don't bring spears, and they tell you the spears that they bought from you, they were able to sell for 20 gold each down there. Apparently there's some sort of like weird creatures that come out of the woods with big long pointy ears and floppy feet that stink really badly, and maraud through the outlying villages, and they wanted weapons, so sold those spears
20 gold for a spear?
20 gold. Man, Einhard, you should have seen them. They saw this glittering weapon in my hand, and they offered 15 on the spot without even trying to negotiate. I said we wouldn't let him go for less than 30 because this is Einhard's steel, and we eventually settled on 20, but whoo, boy. Oh yeah, because normally a spear might go for 1 gold. This is 20 times the price. I don't even know what to tell you, Einhard. Those poor bastards down there, they're having such a hard time of it.
Well, let's keep sending them steel.
She pats you on the back, tells you that, asks you if you've made anything else in the meantime. And it seems to me that you've been working on these tunnels and this ballista, and might not have...
It's been a day. Of course not, but if you put it in order, we can have it, whatever, and we'll, like...
What about that ridiculous contraption you've got on your roof? Aren't you working on that instead of, making some good money? What is it? Anyway, that thing on your roof. It seems, I don't know, weird.
We call it a ballista. And you'll see what it does if that Griffin tries to mess with us.
It's a Griffin catching tool of some kind?
You'll see.
Right. Well, she'll go about her business. The humans will go about theirs. And your brethren talk to you that night. After everyone comes home from the tavern, back in the clan hold, there are rumblings of satisfaction. Your great works being sold at enormous profits. It's just in this far-off town. Einhard.
We just need to raise our wholesale rates to get a share of these profits.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Our stocks are low. We'll need to take, custom orders anyways. I'll need to build whatever.
Yeah.
Did we get any orders from the humans that night? Or, or
Yes,
will
they
this be
asked you
established
for as
later?
many spears as you can possibly make,
Okay.
and they
Yeah.
paid up front for the costs.
Full price, like 1 gold a spear.
1 gold a spear. They
Okay.
placed an order for 50 spears, and they'll take them
Mhm.
whenever you can make them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the order's done, but I think like there's bickering, and then probably the consensus is we'll just raise our prices next time, right?
Yeah. Well, raise our prices on the people.
Mhm.
Grumbling through the town.
It's good for dwarves that our wares are getting distributed and our reputation grows. Anyways,
What about this tunnel? Rosetta's plan. Clearly, we're going to finish the tunnel to Rosetta's. Obviously, I mean that's
yeah.
goes without a doubt. But are we all gonna go down the way to Alfonso's? I mean, we need more iron if we're going to make more tools. We can't afford
Perhaps
to.
eventually we can tunnel across the creek, but we need. I mean, if we're gonna make 20 spears by whatever, but and then there will probably be another order and another and.
Right. Maybe we should get back to our original plan. I mean, the Griffins haven't been around in a little while, and isn't the Alfonso's problem? How does that even concern us?
But the children and yeah.
Right.
So I think we'll tunnel to Rosetta's, but no further for now. Make spears, sell them to the humans.
Well, it's the next day.
Okay.
Go ahead, unless you have something.
And keep tinkering with that ballista.
Yeah, it's the next day. The humans are taking their 1 day rest before they don't have anything left to sell, so they're heading back into their mines to continue their digging. When the Griffins return, been a week and change since last seen, and they are back again. 3 of them, circling above the town, looking for things to pick off. You're alerted first to the Griffins when someone comes running through the streets shouting, "Griffins! Griffins!" And then ducking, into a house, telling the people there, ducking to the next house, telling the people there. You can go to your window and look to the sky, and sure enough, there is Mama Griffin with her 2 Griffinlings as well.
Is the ballista prepared, or is it useless?
It's still very difficult to winch properly. It'll take some time to get it exactly what it needs, and to develop a I don't want to say modern, but like top tier ballista, like ballista where no additional modifications can be made, might take a few generations.
Sure.
But a functional ballista is still a little bit off. Maybe if they were really, really close, you could winch it back. Like your range is, measured in tens of yards at this point. The dwarves. What are you gonna do?
Well, if we feel like it's prepared, we get onto the roof and load the ballista.
If they come next to your house, you can get them.
Yeah. Okay. So to the roof, and then whatever crew of 4 of us is up there winching the winches.
And as
armored, maybe. Yeah. 2 covering with shields while 2 winch.
Yes. Well, as the ballista is prepped and these griffins are soaring about looking for something, you know what looks delicious? These tiny little people over here on their rooftop in a great spot. And one of the little baby griffins will try a dive bomb on one of your dwarven comrades. Your ballista locked and loaded.
Is it locked and loaded?
Yeah, you said you came up here to winch it, and I think you got it as far as it'll go. Got short range. Are there any rules for ballistas in 5e?
I don't think that it's probably. I'm sure there is a, whatever you call it, a
splat book.
Yeah, that has rules, but I don't think there's anything in the player's handbook that.
Let's see. 5e. Massive crossbow bolts. So default ballista is at +6 to hit with the huge range and does 3d10 damage. So let's say your early stage ballista is at +0 to hit, because you've never even fired it before. And its damage is probably, instead of 3d10, maybe 2d10.
So we've got like a spring, basically a plate of metal that we've like spring loaded, and there's ropes tied to it or something.
Yeah,
that are launching a spear basically on a track. And
Yep. And you can aim it at a griffin, and it's a flat d20. Griffins have 12 AC, so all you need is a 12 or better. You can hit these little griffins. Yeah.
Is Zweihardt aiming the shot? Is one of the other dwarves? I guess I'm rolling the d20.
You're rolling the d20. I imagine Zweihardt is the crafter of it and probably knows best how to operate it, because you spend your time working on it while everyone else spends their time in the mines.
Okay. And there's a 12.
That is exactly what you needed to roll. Roll me that 2d10 for damage as you strike the baby griffin. 9. It's a fantastic blow. It goes right through the haunches of the baby griffin, who's like screaming its beak off, talons extended, trying to hit you, and then it like spins with the force of the blow.
And then if it gets close, if it doesn't if it doesn't change its action, there's probably like readied attacks that go off, because there's 4 of us on this roof. At least 2 are covering. And then I think we switch. It might even be 3 of them covering Zweihardt while maybe someone's aiming and getting cover, like moving, and Zweihardt cuts the rope to do the shot. So if it comes closer, I think there's at least an opportunity attack per dwarf, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a morale check, a la 2nd edition, with a penalty for having just been hit. And a 4 is pure... Actually, that's actually very good. Sorry. Low is good in morale checks here. So the griffin continues its dive bomb. It's been wounded, but it's
probably
a hunter.
Just doesn't, it like gets shot, doesn't have enough time to think. It's going. It's also young and dumb with no experience.
Yeah, its talons reach out.
Does it go for Zweihardt or one of the other
No, because Zweihardt's behind this big ballista thingy. It's got to be one of the ones that's a little bit more forward.
Probably my poor assistant who was like adjusting things. He's got a guy chasing him around.
Yes.
I think coming into melee range provokes that readied attack from the covering dwarf.
I think so. I believe your covering dwarves have probably 2 to hit from strength and 2 from proficiency, so d20 plus 4.
That's actually really good.
And
that's a critical hit.
Their battle axe would do d8
dwarf
plus 2.
2d8 plus, is that a crit?
Yeah, it's a crit, so 2d8 plus 2.
Yeah.
Oh!
13 damage.
Baby Jesus. Yes. The griffin dies on the spot as it lands on
I feel bad killing the baby. I feel like it doesn't get a full attack, but maybe its attack roll to like collide with its target.
Yeah. It will indeed impact the dwarf who killed it. You know, the dwarf swings its axe as the talons are reaching the dwarf, and the dwarf like hacks off the legs and into the underside of the griffin. And then the griffin just lands on said dwarf for, I don't know, 1d6 impact damage of a falling griffin.
Yeah, okay. So not enough to kill a level 1 dwarf or whatever this guy is. But...
Right. But you will hear the of despair as Mama Griffin sees its babe hacked to bits by these creatures on this rooftop. And she herself will begin to circle around for the next round's dive bombing, or maybe 2 rounds later. 5th edition takes a while. Attack against your roof.
Reload the winch. There's not enough time. She's coming right for us.
We need a new rope. Where's the extra rope?
Formation. I guess let's roll initiative. I think we realize we're not going to reload it in time, and we have to shield wall.
Yes.
So... Does a shield take a full round to strap on?
Yes.
Can Zweihardt's already be strapped?
Einhard's can be strapped. It takes 2 rounds for the griffin to get to you, because each round's only 6 seconds.
So all the dwarves will get their shields up, and where do I roll initiative? on my character sheet somewhere, I assume.
Yeah, there should be a
Initiative, sure. How did a Griffin get an 18? Oh, high is good. Yeah.
High is good,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
And then
so
you have some other side bros with you, right?
Yeah. I figured we'd go as one, but
that's fine. Perfect. Yes. Mama Griffin will come on down. There are 4 dwarves. Einhard, you are 4th dwarf. She will not attack Einhard. She will attack one of the other.
I think we've probably all formed just like a shield wall, and I guess none of us have like the maneuvers to shield or the feats to shield wall, but we're all like a little armored dwarf lump backed towards the window.
With your 18 AC, the big Griffin comes landing down, one claw going straight for one of the dwarves. She makes one with its beak and one with its claws. Yeah, and so the claw attack will come and grapple at one of the dwarves, who beats it off with the shield and the heavy armor as the beak comes over the heads and tries to drill down through the skull cap of your fellow dwarfling.
Oh no.
Hit. She grabs the dwarf by the head with her beak for 14 points of damage, which will kill a level 1 dwarf.
Kill or reduce to 0?
Reduced to 0, yeah. Reduced to death saving throws.
Yeah. All right, how do we want to handle the other dwarves?
I think they have D20 plus D20s. 4 to hit, yeah.
Okay. So I guess we'll resolve those first, and then Einhard can jump in there.
Perfect.
13, 18.
Both of them hit.
Oh, really?
Yep. 12 AC. They do D8 plus 2 damage each.
So that's 17 damage from the side dwarves, and then I guess Einhard leaps in there. Unfortunately, no advantage. But a 13 is a hit, right?
It does.
That's not right. Oh, that's assuming a crit, right?
Wait. Yeah.
Oh,
that's another attack roll.
Oh, how do I?
Want to click
I thought I clicked the damage.
Battle axe one-handed button on in the dice rolling section.
Oh, I see. Okay. I tried to. Yeah. So
9 slashing damage. 1 would be sweet.
So a total of 26.
And the Griffin is not doing so hot here. Initiative order stays the same. It doesn't get re-rolled. Our Griffin is going to make a morale check here, 2d10. And I think killing one dwarf and then getting wounded is enough for the Mama Griffin. She is, at the end of the day, just sort of a dumb animal. And so she will take this round to leap away and fly off into the distance.
With leaving the dead dwarf and the dead Griffin behind?
She will leave the dead Griffin behind, but I think the dwarf is still, like, she got it by the head and did, like, the thrashing thing. And so the 0 HP dwarf, she takes a disengage. She doesn't provoke attacks of opportunity.
Okay, so I was going to ask.
Yeah.
But she can carry the dwarf without encumbrance problems or anything, so she can just fly off with it without us being able to...
Dragging it by its head as she flies away. And then she and the babe will leave with just the one prey in tow. And they will... have to work pretty hard to get to that meat. It's surrounded by chainmail. It's very difficult to eat that dwarf. Maybe that can be your little bit of solace, that maybe she breaks her beak on it. They're gone.
Took him. They took Jimmy.
Goddamn flying creatures. Jimmy is dead. He's gone. Einhard, what are we going to do? We can't let this stand. The humans might have been right. Maybe we should do something about this.
We just did. We killed one of them.
True, we did. And we wounded the other. It won't come back. Jimmy, he might have died, but his death bought us all the time in the world that we'll need. We'll get this contraption up and running. Did you see the way it hit the babe? And there's much, sadness over the death of Jimmy, one of the original dwarves of the world. And, a little bit of accolades for doing it right and getting one of the Griffins. Okay. Why don't we take a break here? You can all mourn the death of Jimmy and go to the tombstone maker, one of your cousins.
Mort, right?
Mort. course. And get a good headstone made for him. And we'll come back on the other side with a little bit more Dicing with Death. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dicing with. Poor Jimmy has died, killed by a griffin. It's a sad, sad day. The dwarven family here. Let's talk briefly about dwarven mourning, dwarven funeral rites, and dwarven internal society, just for a wee bit. In the grand history of the world, dwarves are... They like to think of themselves as the chosen of a stair, who they call the god of camaraderie and kinship. He's sort of like the primary god. Sayor is like a very, very close, sometimes more primary, but we'll call him secondary for now, deity in dwarven society. How do you properly mourn the loss of Jimmy? Are there prayers and songs? Is he just like throw him in a ditch and put a rock over him? Is there a lot of time spent on the notion of death?
I think there must be, because dwarves are relatively long-lived, and they leave behind quite a legacy. So the passing of a dwarf is no trivial matter. So it's an appropriate somber, dark mood sets over the dwarven clan halls. There's probably hymns, humming, something of the sort. I don't know if you'd call it outright singing. Some sort of funeral procession, right?
Mm-hmm.
Preparation of a body and carving of an epic stone phallus to mark a dwarf's life.
And what about baby Griffin? What is to be done with that carcass of that beast?
I don't think the dwarves would handle it directly, but probably a gnomish or an elven friend, either a tanner or something, would... this is unusual, right? There's a griffin's never died on our roof before.
Yeah.
No one's ever shot a griffin before. But I think eventually someone more professional than us will come over and clean it up and gut it and strap it to the ballista, depending on who gets there first. Maybe we should, if a gnomish leather worker shows up first, they will probably somewhat brutally and vengefully mount it to the roof of the dwarven keep. If an elf shows up, maybe it's a little gentler treatment.
Well, Alfonso's the first to show up.
Oh yeah, okay.
And in addition to his own, need for retribution, the gnomes here are socially awkward creatures who don't really know how to interact with other people very well. So he has seen, the battle from down below, or at least heard about it. And when he, scrambles up uninvited onto your rooftop as everyone's standing around looking at the body of Jimmy, he'll look over, he'll see, the dwarf, and for a moment feel the pang of suffering as his own children have just died to such a creature. But he looks over at the child, Griffin, just sort of starts walking towards it, like plucks a feather and then looks over at the lot of you and asks if he can take it.
Of course. They took your child, and we took theirs.
Excellent. With a little bit of effort, he will probably ask for some help to try and shove the creature off the roof.
He probably doesn't have to do much of the heavy lifting. Zweihardt and a couple of his buddies will come on over and just roll it right off the roof. and probably help him carry it down the street and down the hill to right? That's what he wants with it?
Yep, he wants to drag it back to his hut.
Okay. All right, cool.
You will meet... The humans will come out of their houses and come take a look at this with shouts and cheering. They don't know that one of the dwarves died up there. No one else except for the
I
three
think
of
we
you and
totally
the-
ignore them, and there's just an awkward. I don't know if awkward is probably not the right word, but a somber procession down the street. Bunch of dour dwarves humming to themselves.
Humans sort of celebrating
dark melodic tunes as we carry the Griffin down the street.
Halflings lick their lips in anticipation of what could be a delicious treat. Rosetta will come out and say some words, sort of like walking behind you for just a little bit, just enough to recite something in Elven, some sort of hymn of some kind, some sort of like melodic speech, some sort of phrases in Elven that you're not familiar with that seem to have some significance to her, as if she's mourning the death of this Griffin.
Not Jimmy? I guess
she doesn't know.
So I heard assume she's talking about Jimmy.
No, she's mourning the Griffin.
And
she'll
I think
throw some
even though
leaves
it's the
on his
Griffin
fodder.
and not, even though it's the Griffin and not Jimmy, I think we're still carrying the weight of Jimmy. So it's more. It feels like almost like a funeral procession.
Yeah.
A dirge, not a hymn. That's what, right? That's the other kind of.
Yes, that's
piece.
the word.
Anyways.
Well, the corpse can be brought all the way to Alfonso's house and dumped outside. And the other gnomes that live across the street will quickly run out and, in eager excitement, start chattering at each other at high speeds over what should be done with this creature and looking at it in the leather and, oh, it looks like this. And
I think the dwarves have their own arrangements to make, so I think immediately flip around, head back up the hill to
the last
see to sending Jimmy off,
the last
pouring
thing
some out for the homies.
You'll hear from those folks is a couple of elves arguing over the treatment of the dead creature as the gnomes just start exploring what this is. They spread out the wings, they start moving the limbs around, opening the beak, just curious as to what makes it as what it is. And a bit of a fey argument will break out between the two groups as the dwarves retreat into the distance, finding Jimmy. Let's see, has Jimmy paired off with anybody else in the world? Jimmy is a 10. He was dating someone, but not engaged and not married. Lover will be around, come out of the mines. But without any rings on fingers, it's a single dwarf. And this is, I think, the whole group comes together to erect a tombstone or whatnot for him.
Mort makes tombstone. There's probably like a embalmer or something. I don't know. That cleans up the body. Is there enough death that someone is in that role? At least someone steps up and it's like, I've never done this before, but the gods instilled me with with the innate wisdom on how to treat our dead. And
there's got to be a priest or a priestess in town who might know these things. We're just gonna do a quick 1d5. Let's see who it is. It is a dwarf. One of the dwarven.
They live right here, or are there other dwarven houses?
There's some other dwarven houses. It is a dwarven woman who lives down on the lowest ranks and tends to the spiritual needs of the community, along with a few other priests and clerics.
Oh my! Would she be a cleric of Verasi, or just a generic cleric?
This would have to be the cleric of Verasi. Yes.
So there would be clerics to all gods here, or is this just a lucky?
The big six, Aster, Verasi, Martha, Tempos, Nadinus, Malchus, are all represented with their individual clerics or priests in this region.
And no Falumbra?
No. No. She does not have any representatives in this village. Maybe in the larger towns, but not here. So the dwarven...
This dwarven death cleric will make the trudge up the hill, I think, to clean up the body, wax his beard. Everyone gathers around and mourns over his casket.
Yeah. As word spreads that one of the dwarves has died, some of the humans will come on over and they will hand you a collection of beads and seashells that have been strung on chains, and offer them as like gifts to adorn the dead.
Okay, yeah. I think the cleric probably braids them into his beard. I don't know how many there are, but
There are
he's
2 chains
adorned
of
and probably
beads.
laid to rest with his I guess his possessions, right? He like owns his arms and armor, and if without any kin, I don't know if it would pass to the clan. I think you'd bury him ceremoniously with a
With the arms
battle axe in
armor?
hand, shield on top. At least for a dwarf like Jimmy that went down slaying a griffin.
Bad day. But it passes. These things happen.
Oh no, Jimmy's body was taken by the griffins. That's what. So there's
Right.
So
Yeah,
it is
there's no
probably
body.
there's no body.
Even worse. Oh God.
Right? I think we probably are pretending there's a body then. That makes the funeral procession much more apt symbol. We probably erect the stone casket and just like bury his axe that was left behind by itself with these beads.
What about his other possessions that he'd keep in his room?
Throw him without a body. There's plenty of room in that casket, right? Just throw him in the box and
okay.
bury it in the mausoleum. It
Excellent.
depends what it was, but anyways, well,
Right.
just that small detail. Thanks, chat.
Yeah, it's useful. Cool. Our story will pick up the very next day when there comes a knocking on your door near dawn, waking you all up. As Einhard arrives at the door to open it, there is the dwarven cleric of Verasi, and we look at you and say, Einhard, I regret to inform you I have some very bad news. Somewhere in the night, someone dug up Jimmy's casket.
Wait, it's not here in the mine, in the hall somewhere? There's not like a mausoleum under the mine?
I don't think so. I think it's probably just like a graveyard standard. Maybe it becomes tradition to bury dwarves in the mines.
Well, this is the reason why
this.
dwarves get buried in the mine. I guess there's no body to steal, but...
Right, but they dug it up and they took all of the stuff, the weapons, the tools, the axe.
Well, that's outrageous.
Yes.
Is it not your duty to guard the dead?
I've never...
Einhard will like shout down the hall, and like the dwarven posse will get suited up to see to the bottom of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so
fury and anger in the eyes of these dwarves. What are you gonna do? Everyone is amped up for something. Something must be done.
We storm to the graveyard to get to the bottom of this.
Right. Well,
is it just 3 dwarves and?
I think there's probably a few more
led by the cleric. Okay.
Yeah.
Or
I think your whole house. Will
probably
come on out. Maybe 15 dwarves march on down to the cemetery, which is just outside of town. I'm on the north side of the map over here. And sure enough, you'll see the trampled grasses where everyone held the funeral yesterday, and the pit that was dug. And sure enough, it's just straight shot down. There's the casket. It's been ripped open. The lid tossed up on the ground, and the bottom part of the casket still left below.
We should have taken time to carve him a proper stone sarcophagus.
Never again.
Why wasn't he buried in the mine?
My God.
Can someone like investigate the crime scene for clues?
Or
does it have to be Zweihardt because I'm the PC? Or should I just roll an int check for someone random?
Yeah,
I think there was a 14 int in the mix, wasn't there?
So that'd be
a D20 plus 4.
Yep.
Whoever that was, like the lore master or the engineer, I can't remember who.
The lore master, yes. They will investigate the area for clues, and the first thing they'll see are these little carvings in the wall that leads away from the tomb. And judging by the spacing in the carvings for footholds, this creature, whoever it was that came down here and robbed the body, or at least the person who climbed out of this, not a dwarf or a gnome or a halfling, the human an elf or one of the few half-elves that live in town.
These are like the footholds carved into like the
Into the earth,
okay,
yeah.
the pit. Okay.
Now the rest of the area
footprints,
above,
or have we? Oh.
yeah, the grass is pretty trampled. The earth is mounded high, and it's hard to distinguish footprints because a bunch of people were recently here for his funeral just yesterday.
Yeah.
So there's no footprints that lead anywhere that would be useful. We do have height of a person.
Is there anyone here except for these dour dwarves?
A couple of the other priests and priestesses from the temple were alerted before the lot of you, and have come out here to.
Yeah. Okay. I think the dwarves then in mass are demanding like witnesses come forward. Like how could this happen?
Your dwarven...
right next to town. How could there's probably houses that are visible from here, right?
Zelda
Someone must have seen something, and so there's this angry group of dwarves putting around the field on the edge of town.
Zelda is the dwarven cleric of death, and she says that after the funeral rites were done, the body, was packed down, tamped down with earth, the headstone was placed, oil, once everyone was gone, the graveyard was just left there. No one thought to guard it. There was no need to. Who would do this thing? So there was no people here to witness it that moment. But as you have correctly sussed out, there are a few buildings that are the closest that can be seen from the graveyard. And if someone happened to be in that building and happened to be looking to the graveyard, they might have noticed something. Whoa.
We go door to door. What time of this is first thing in the morning, right?
First thing in the
early morning. Okay, yeah.
This is a warehouse, and so we have 1, 2, and then maybe this building right top thing here. So maybe 3 sets of people would be in a position to have eyes on that area. So 3 homes. Check.
Are the people like out seeing what's going on, or does this posse of dwarves have to come knocking door to door?
You're gonna have to go knocking door to door. They're still having breakfast. Right. So the first door that we come to.
Mailed fists knock on on the door.
The door opens up, and there is a man named Salt. He's a human. And he looks down at you with your mailed fist and your armored body and furrows his brow and says, Reinhard, how can I help you this morning?
There's been a theft in the night. Grave robbers, and they point to...
Grave robbers?
Yes.
You mean...
Jimmy's grave was dug up last night.
Oh my god. Who would do such a thing?
Who would do such a thing? Did you see anything amiss? It sounds like by surprise, probably not.
No, he's surprised. He doesn't know anything about this.
Is there anyone else around that might have seen something?
Well, I live here with my wife and our children and our grandchildren. He's only in his late 40s, early 50s. And
would you ask them if they saw anything suspicious in the night?
Of course. Wait right here. And he shuts the door, heads inside, and comes back 15 minutes later. And says that his youngest grandson, only 5 years old, woke up in the middle of the night because he heard strange sounds coming from the outside. And he heard the sound of clanging, echoing across the plains to the north. And that this was around the time when the moon was highest in the sky. And if you look around from where the moon is now and do just a little bit of counting by the hands, you can see that this was maybe 3 hours ago. So if it's 6 a.m. right now, it must have been about 3 a.m. when he heard the sounds of clanging coming from that area.
Well, I guess we'll go to the next house, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe the third.
Yes, the next house.
If you could hear clanging, yeah, you could probably hear it a few houses in.
The next house is occupied by a group of gnomes, and they will the gnome who opens the door is named May. She'll also look surprised to see the dwarves round. Oh, Einhard, how's it going? Hope all is well. Did you really give Alfonso all of the rights to that griffin? I mean, I know he lost his children and whatnot, but I think there's some interesting things that we could do with the hide, especially where the bird meets the lion.
Sure. Take that up with Alfonso. We're here for another reason. There's been a robbery, a grave robbery. Jimmy's grave has been robbed. It's right there, the graveyard. Perhaps you saw something suspicious.
Well, I was up all night.
Heard?
I was up all night working on the latest pair of shoes, trying to get the nail length quite right. I was very intent and focused on my work. Same with my husband. She points to a guy who's eating some gruel out of a bowl and gives you a half-hearted wave. And we were busy the whole night long. But now that you mention it, I did think I saw some lights up on the hills last night. I noticed it out the window, and she kind of points, there was a window right near the front door. The front door is like right here, and so the front door is like right here, and so she's motioning that like she was looking this way and she saw a procession of lights, like some lanterns, somewhere over in this region right here. In the middle of the night, somewhere around 1 or 2 a.m.
Okay. If there's another house to check here, we would ask, and then I guess it sounds like heading over to Alfonso's to see if he saw anything outside of his house last night. A procession, a posse.
The third house has no additional information or clues. They deny seeing or hearing anything. They went to bed early and they slept through everything. So, you can get to Alfonso's place, and he's out there with a couple other gnomes looking at the griffin. They've hacked off the claws on the feet and the beak, and there are 2 gnomes who are trying to talk down the elves who consider this sort of like butchery in the open very unceremonious for such a noble beast. It might be a dangerous creature, but look at its grace and its power. It deserves our respect. You can't just hack it to bits like this like a common chicken. Gnome's like, well, property rights. Elves like morals. Gnome's like property rights.
All right. We are, I guess, every dwarf in our group is now on the lookout for Jimmy's missing stuff. Because I mean, maybe to the untrained eye, a battle axe is a battle axe, but we'd know Jimmy's axe when we see it. I don't know what other possessions there were. Those beads, I guess, but.
And some other tools of his. I think he had a favorite crowbar that he used, and.
Right. So, yeah, the tools are probably most likely to pop up. So if we see anyone working with Jimmy's crowbar. That's not just any crowbar from a dungeoneering kit. That's Jimmy's crowbar.
Well, I needed to Jimmy the door open, though.
All right. So we'll approach Alfonso, and I guess we're pretty forthright, right? Jimmy's grave has been robbed. Did you see anything suspicious last night?
Alfonso, right on the path where those lights were seen, agrees that he saw some lights somewhere around midnight, a few hours after the sun had set. He was inside working by candlelight on the griffin's beak and wondering if the bottom of the beak would serve well for like the edge. He babbles about how this will affect shoe quality, but does claim that he saw 3 lanterns come across the front of the house somewhere around midnight.
You didn't see who held them? You didn't look up?
It was dark. I saw a light. Drugs. Didn't think much of it. I didn't know that his grave was being robbed. I just, Oh, that was it.
And then afterwards, did you see the lights return? I guess you must have been asleep.
No, I haven't slept. I haven't slept in. I barely slept since the children died, but I certainly haven't slept since yesterday. And he like holds up this model shoe that he's been making, and you can see there's like a bottom of Griffin beak lining the sides of it to reinforce the pressure. Blah blah blah. And he mentions that he didn't see any additional lights on the return, but somewhere around, only a couple hours ago, he heard some cursing coming from the streets. There was like a thud followed by a curse in the common tongue. And then, he was busy. Someone dropped something, maybe landed on their foot, gave out a exclamation of pain or frustration in the common tongue, and then...
Yeah. Well, if they dropped something close to here, we'll certainly look around for it. So I guess we'll look in... I don't know what the scale is on this, but probably this vicinity. It's like there's these houses, there's bushes and stuff. So I guess we'll go tromping through this little...
Excellent. Why don't you roll
this little region here, looking for like a... I don't know, Jimmy's boot that fell into a shrub somewhere.
Roll me investigation check, yes.
Is this
same roll, I believe.
Swihard doing it, or do we have the whole...
You got the posse, so you just use this best person's roll here. Oh my god.
Oh, nailed it. If it's there, we stumble onto it.
Sure enough, you can find some beads that have fallen on the ground here. Seemingly broken off the string and rolled away. And right in the area next to where these beads are, maybe like 2 feet over, is a muddy boot print. Not a foot, but like a proper boot print. Right there. Great relief.
Oh, so Jimmy's beads. Look at that footprint. Got stuck and dropped this right here. So I guess we proceed to try and track the footprint.
Yeah, with a 24 is a pretty good roll. I think that you can pick up the same footprint just off, like there's some muddy tracks. There's a lot of tracks on the road. The road isn't, well maintained and washed.
But if you can find one set of fresh tracks in the mud, maybe you can...
Right. You'll notice that
I don't know, so there should at least be a tracking check, right? I don't know if we have a ranger, but could we do like a... Anyways, go ahead.
I was going to say that on the stairs right here, leading up to the next level, you can find another one of the beads has like fallen and left on the staircase. And I think with the natural 20 on the investigation check, I'm just going to extend the radius of your successful check all the way to the staircase. So there's a bead there and a bit of mud scraped freshly on the steps leading up to the next height.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of... I feel like we're tracking now. I don't know what kind of tracking mechanics you want, but we're going to sort of follow that through the street. If we lose it, we, of course, take the left.
Okay. Well, give me another check to see if you can track.
Are the clerics still with us?
The dwarven cleric would be. The other ones are probably trying to figure out what to do with the grave.
11 is not great. I think we just...
Yeah, it can't be...
Instinctively plan to take this route back, looking for clues, looking for beads, or seeing if we can pick up that boot print again. I think we are unsuccessful in finding it, though.
Yes, there's no more obvious clues to be found along the route. I don't know if you want to ask anyone that lives in this area, because this quarter up here...
Yeah, certainly if we pass anyone. Yeah, certainly if we pass anyone in the street, we will explain our errand.
Yeah, of course. People are coming out of their houses. They're beginning to start their days. They're going to their little fields here, and as they see the procession of dwarves, that conversation kicks up. You talk to them.
Yeah,
about
so I think everyone we pass, we'll tell them. Jimmy's grave was robbed. Did you see the thief might have come this way? Did you see anyone pass through here between 3 and 4 a.m. or whatever the equivalent for in the wee hours of the morning?
And Old Man Willie lives in this little building right here, attached to his kid's home. They built this for him so that he could, still stay with them, but needs some space because he's a little bit cranky. He's a little bit curmudgeon-y. He says that he was up in the middle of the night 3 times to piss that night, and the most recent time was maybe 45 minutes before sunrise, because he didn't get back to sleep. He lays down, but and he closes his eyes, but he never actually sleeps. And as he was going outside to take a leak against the back of the mountains, he heard a door slamming from up the hill somewhere. And he's not sure if it was, where up in this region it was, but it's probably one of these doors. Those are the ones that he could hear, he suspects, from his little piss spot. What that means, if this door is related, then this is one of Netta's people. This is the human conglomeration of miners and craftsmen. And I don't know if you trust Old Man Willie hearing a door shut.
No, I mean,
while
we
he
were
was
up
taking
this
a
way
piss,
because we suspected the humans. So I think conclusions are jumped to in absence of a successful check.
Well,
I think, the dwarven posse will go to Detta's door and knock on it. Maybe wake her up, or maybe she's been up all night. So I was asking about the cleric. It's a good thing we have some moral guidance on the matter, so we don't just go. Well, I don't know. We'll see.
Well, the humans all up here are all waking up, and none of them seem to know what happened or what you're talking about. They all agree it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, I mean, we knock on Detta's door and say, hello, the Jimmy's grave has been robbed.
I don't know anything about that, but that's terrible.
A thief may have come this way, and we ask her the usual script if she saw anything suspicious last night.
Oh.
And we're, meanwhile, the dwarves are all looking her up and down and looking down. I don't know if is that her front door or.
It's at her front door. She's standing there barefoot, no beads
see
on.
If she's got a battle axe suspiciously tucked behind her back, or.
Not that you can see through the doorway.
Maybe a fresh chisel sitting on the counter behind her.
No.
New beads. No. Okay.
No.
Well.
None of that.
But suspicions are raised, and I think the dwarves will devise a plan to keep an eye on these. I don't know if there's an exit to town or here, but sooner or later they'll try and take those goods and sell them. So we need to think of a way to catch the thief when they try to make it out of town with that contraband battle axe.
How would you do that, though? The battle axe would just be in a bag. Maybe the battle axe would be at a side, but the other things could all easily be in bags.
Yeah, well. So we probably make our way back to Dwarf Hall and scheme. There's probably a watch set, like a couple of the there's, at least for now, there'll be one loitering around here, one loitering around here, and we'll be rotating through, just keeping it throughout the day, keeping an eye out to see if anyone tries to make off with the axe. And then we're trying to think with posting someone on the edge of town. Is there a single way out of town that someone would go?
There is a defined route that you would take if you are going to the next town down to trade. That would be this way. But there are a couple of other routes that lead out of town to other things, and technically, you could go this way and hike, an extra 2 hours out of your way and loop back around. But this is the go-to route.
It's near the graveyards. There will probably also be some dwarves posted at the graveyard and to tidy up the grave, even if there's nothing to. Well, yeah. Anyways. So, and dwarves probably safer to at least have a buddy, someone to cover you with a shield in case the Griffin dives and you have to handle a winch or something.
Well, it doesn't seem.
So, yeah.
like we'll get a conclusion to who stole the dwarf's goods today, but we can at least get a little insight into how this might affect the what has been very friendly associations and trust between humans and dwarves at this point in this town. No human ever comes forth saying that they have found these things or they heard any other clues. Everyone seems to be curious as to who the grave robber would be. It is the talk of town. Humans,
Yeah.
dwarves, elves, gnomes alike all wonder.
Do we want to resolve if anything comes of these dwarven watches, or are we going to leave that as the
Um,
cliffhanger thing?
we will say that the dwarven watches do not notice any suspicious
Yeah.
behavior related to this, and unless you have a plan to like physically search people leaving the town or
No, I
break
think
into
it's
people's homes, then
no. I think probably reached the end of our investigation, and with time, the trail goes cold. But there's probably some sort of dwarven patrol schedule set up for the foreseeable future.
let's see.
Searching, or keeping an eye for,
Does this
Jimmy.
become a problem between the humans, the dwarves, and Deda's group?
If there's no evidence found, I think it's just suspicions that wear away at what little trust there was.
Huh. A little bit of suspicion slowly eating away at the
Yeah,
faith between the two groups.
but back to the digging,
When they come
and
back asking for to buy more spears and tools and shovels and rakes off of you,
hmm,
will you continue to sell them to the humans?
I think so. I think but I mean, the plan was to raise the wholesale prices, so we're now like charging above player's handbook value for weaponry and tools. I don't know that we really care to economy simulator what the eventual price is. So we'd probably sell to them, but the markup gets steeper and steeper.
Right,
At least to the
right.
point where, yeah,
Ah,
some kind. Yeah. Anyways,
yeah.
um, hmm,
I
fairly,
think this is our nice introduction to the early days of dwarf. Sort of,
yeah, fairly mellow little story here. Not a,
yeah.
I,
Nothing too
I mean,
grandiose, but just a
yeah,
little bit of delving into this how dwarves might have first started off in the world, and the notion of like, well, there's giant flying creatures, we should just dig in the ground. Oh, people can rob
mm,
us, let's just bury people in the ground. Oh, look, the inn's right there, why walk on the surface, let's just have a tunnel. The safety of the dwarves and their stature is quite useful, or their stature is very useful for their safety, I should say. Well, that is going to about wrap us up, unless you have any additional dwarven thoughts or things that you would like to share on the topic.
I'm feeling a little dwarfed out,
Mm.
so it's been fun. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Good. So,
That'll be it for today on Dicing with Death. Don't hold your breath for another session anytime soon, but
the
one
worst
day.
way to end a session ever. Just
Just trying to be
anticlimactic
honest.
little episode here, and
Yeah.
tune
Yep.
in never because it's not happening. Thank you for watching, everybody. This was fun. Thank you, Neal, for DMing with zero prep.
Well, thank you, Ryan, for choosing to
You
spend your one free day playing D&D.
just the one.
Just it, yeah. And after this
Um,
session, he's never coming back. I think that's it. Any questions in chat to take? So, good
now
day,
you tell them they can
everybody.
ask questions.
Sometime. Yeah, so I think we're gonna
All
take
right.
off.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. Happy holidays. Bye bye.